Bienvenidos a todos. Christian,
First
what
one
did
to
Karen
laugh is
say?
gay.
I'm not laughing.
I think Chris is laughing under that mask.
He's cheating. He's hiding. Cowards hide their face. True heroes share vitamin A.
That's correct. Only a coward would put a mask on.
Actually, I need you to use that gorilla suit for a video idea I have.
Yes, I've purchased additional accessories for the video.
Oh, okay, good. I already told you about this.
Yes, I have the script. I'm going to record it as soon as those come in.
I don't have a video idea that involves a luchador, but we can fix that.
Oh, yeah, we can make that work.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have the field mode and a picnic blanket out, and then I also got gorilla gloves and some other accessories. So we will have a great time for that video. How you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
You know, look at us, Chris.
Look how far we've come.
It takes a lot to look at you guys in this mask, to be completely honest. But
where are the eye holes? Oh, I see him right next to the eyes. I thought maybe looking out the nose or something.
That's what I thought. Oh, there we go.
Does it have a breathing hole?
No, there's not.
You have to breathe through the eye hole.
I have to breathe however the air can come in. It's very hot in here.
He's in a bath
of his own breath. It's not a very well-designed mask. Yeah, I'm currently getting a little high, losing oxygen per second. It's great.
If you had it, you could do a smoke box in there. There's like smoke coming out of the eye hole.
Also, so the only reason why I have this on right now is because my son came in right before bed and said, "Daddy, have you put the gorilla mask on yet?" So
wasn't part of the plan. It is now.
Yeah, I'm gonna show it to him tomorrow. If my wife doesn't show it to him today.
Make your son proud.
And
so another gorilla suit idea. You don't have to use real weed, but have like smoke coming out of it. And we'll be selling like personal hot boxes so you can get higher than Muhammad riding Baruch. So high, you'll feel like you've been turned into an ape.
Indeed. Yes. So it's very itchy and it's very hot, so I definitely can't keep this on the whole stream.
Yep.
But
I'm gonna put my Steven costume back on.
I did a whole stream dressed as Lily J, and it was so hot in that stupid wig. But I knew that I had to commit.
Yeah, no, I can't do that for this.
No, so. Don't do that. I'm just...
Oh man, I have fur stuck in my fur.
Right. Have you ever gone a whole stream without talking about your body here?
No, I haven't.
I feel like me and Chris just switch masks.
That'd be creepy if you just put on the luchador one and you put on the gorilla one. I thought y'all were in different buildings.
All right. Don't the mask. How you guys doing?
Better now.
We have a carrot with us. And a not Juju.
We're
gonna go through the Genesis. We're gonna go through some John today. Pretty excited about it. This is one of my favorite chapters of the whole Bible, and we're also gonna go through the Talmud on this section of John as well, and show like what is Jesus talking about with all these things? What's the background? What's the history to it? Is it Jewish? And talk about how awesome Jesus is. So
these are two really cool chapters for how awesome Jesus is.
It really is.
There's of all the characters in the Bible that remind me of me. So Peter sometimes reminds me of me because he's kind of a doofus, and he's the one who runs out on the water, but he also sinks. And then he's also the one who during the transfiguration is like should I make a shelter? And it says, he said this. He didn't know what he was talking about. One who does the joke where it's like, drunk, it's not even 9 a.m. So I've always felt like Peter, but even more than Peter, I feel like the blind man from John, because he's so sassy.
Yeah.
He's on his feet. I love
It's
John's
one of my favorite
dialogue.
quotes.
Yeah. We'll get
But
into it.
I won't spoil it. We'll get there.
I feel like I look like I'm being birthed out of this thing.
You kind of look like a
Push.
nun that's had too much niacin.
That nun that's
so
had
much
too much
gorilla
what?
fur on me.
Niacin.
Yeah.
Itchy now. Okay. Things we do. Anyway, let's hop into John. Why not? All right, I
Lady
only
Lala,
plan to go.
let me say something to Lady Law. See that comment there? The dedication.
The dedication.
This thing is hot. It is so hot. It's like it is gross inside here. I feel like steam's gonna shoot out if I. But I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna commit. I'm not someone who comes on a stream with a gorilla suit. Oh, I can't take it. No, I mean,
Yeah, but you
I'm
will
in
have
for a
to.
kill.
To be fair, you will have
Okay.
to go to bed in like 10 minutes.
And to
Are we
be
allowed
fair,
to
you
flick
have your
off
whole
people
face
on
so you
this, or
can
is that
breathe.
inappropriate? I'll do this. That's how they flick off people on Friends. There you go, Steven. Suck on that.
Also,
Chris.
I never said for you guys to get into costume. My son said, "Daddy, put on a gorilla mask," and I did. I come back
But
and he's
just
in a luchador
imagine the
mask, and you're
joy in your
gone.
son's face tomorrow when he expects a gorilla mask and he gets a gorilla, a carrot, and a Mexican wrestler.
No, we're gonna get a comment. It's gonna be on there by tomorrow. Be like, I was a Muslim, but that something about that gorilla mask, it brought me to Christ. And then the joke will be on you for having made fun of it.
There's been stranger ways. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now my son, opposite relationship. He all the time is asking me to watch the gorilla video that I made, which is not really that appropriate for kids. But the intro, whenever I'm a Jew and I become an ape because I broke the Sabbath by making a fire. So he loves that video. He has not seen many of my videos in general, for good reason, but he adores that video. So I told him I was going to be in it on a different video and he got very excited. So now he keeps asking me for it. So there you go. First chapter, I thought I accidentally had Joe Rogan video. Wow. It'd be like that sometime. Anyway, so John 9. I don't know if we'll be able to get past John 10 into John 11. I planned on going through 9 and 10, so I don't know if we'll do much past that, but we'll definitely do at least those 2 chapters. As he passed by, he saw a blind man from birth, and his disciples asked him, saying, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he would be born blind?" I'm going to bring up the source of what they mean and why they mean this, because it's pretty wild. Jesus answered, "Neither this man nor his parents sinned, but this was so that the works of God might be manifested in him. We must work the works of him who sent me as long as it is day. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world." When he had said this, he spat on the ground and made clay of the saliva and rubbed the clay on his eyes and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which is translated as sent. I'm going to keep going to like verse 30 and then we'll go back and spend like an hour on those first 30 verses. So when he went away and washed and came back seeing, therefore the neighbors and those who previously saw him as a beggar were saying, "Is this not the one who used to sit and beg?" Others were saying, "This is he." Still others were saying, "No, but he is like him." He kept saying, "I am the one." So they were saying to him, "How then were your eyes opened?" He answered, "The man who is called Jesus made clay and rubbed my eyes and said to me, 'Go to Siloam and wash.' When I went away and washed, I received sight." And they said to him, "Where is he?" He said, "I do not know." They brought to the Pharisees the man who was formerly blind. Well, I was formerly there. Now it was a Sabbath on the day when Jesus made the clay and opened his eyes. So the Pharisees were asking him again how he received his sight. And he said to them, "He applied clay to my eyes and I washed and I see." So then some of the Pharisees were saying, "This man is not from God because he does not keep the Sabbath." Others were saying, "How can a sinful man do such signs?" and there was a division among them. Therefore they said to the blind man again, "What do you say about him, since he opened your eyes?" And he said, "He is a prophet." Then the Jews did not believe it of him that he was blind and he had received sight, until they called the parents of the very one who had received his sight, and questioned them, saying, "Is this your son who you say was born blind? Then how does he now see?" So his parents answered and said, "We know that this is our son and that he was born blind, but how he now sees we do not know, or who opened his eyes we do not know. Ask him, he is of age, he will speak for himself." His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone confessed him to be the Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. For this reason, his parents said, "He is of age, ask him." Therefore, a second time they called the man who had been blind and said to him, "Give glory to God, we know that this man is a sinner." Then he answered, he then answered, "Whether he is a sinner, I do not know. One thing I do know, that though I was blind, now I see." So then they said to him, "What did he do to you? How did he open your eyes?" He answered them, "I already told you, and you did not listen. Why do you want to listen again? Do you want to become his disciples too?" And they reviled him and said, "You are his disciple, but we are disciples of Moses. We know that God has spoken Moses, but as for this man, we do not know where he is from." The man answered and said to them, "Well, here is a marvelous thing that you do not know where he is from, and he opened my eyes. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if anyone is God-fearing and does his will, he listens to him. Since the beginning of time, it has never been heard that anyone opened the eyes of a blind person born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing." They answered and said to him, "You were born entirely in sins, and are you teaching us?" So they put them out. Now, I have a lot to say about the Jewish background and context of that whole passage. Do you want me to go through that first? Because we're going to read several passages of the Talmud.
Kufar
let's do that.
Matamoros is saying there's no video. This is
Uh-oh.
why no video.
There was a
What?
lapse in audio from Chris about a minute ago for me, but I'm used to having bad internet, so I didn't know if that was on my end or if that was an issue for anybody else. But I did notice that. I just assumed it was me, though.
I'll click on
I
my
have
own
video.
and see.
Kufar, just refresh.
Yeah, I see video on my monitor.
I
over
got
here,
video
so-
too.
I have video on mine. I don't know if there's audio because I muted myself.
There's a weird orange spot in the center left, but I think could just be my computer.
Broke my brain. I muted it and you were still talking on both. So then there's just two Stevens simultaneously talking to me. All right. Thought I was blind. All right. She couldn't hide her mannerisms. Oh, you're talking about Cora, or who are you talking about?
Oh, that must be about Cora.
Anyway.
Isn't that the funniest thing? I'm so glad that happened. We needed something.
It's really funny.
That's been the funniest thing in like 4 months.
I
miss
okay.
Muhammad a job. He was doing something stupid every week for a while there. And it was always something to laugh at.
I think he's getting worn out.
Yeah. Well, Cora can help us out.
Yeah.
Why even go undercover? Like, what is this? Some spy movie or something? Like, what does that accomplish? You're a YouTuber. It's a very low stakes situation. You get on there and you just say a question wrong. Like, can't let them know it's me. I guess I don't know. All right.
Okay. I am.
We
all of my
stopped right
tabs
before
also
one of the
closed.
funniest lines in the Bible, but we'll get there. It's like verse 37 or something.
Yeah. All right. Let me stop sharing this and then actually just share my window because that's always a good idea.
Oh, look, it's nighttime.
All right. So I'm going to attempt not to show my screen again as I did last week. As he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth, and his disciples asked him, saying, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he would be born blind?" Now, why in the world are they asking Jesus this question? This is a debate that was happening between the rabbis of his time, specifically in the Dirim 28. And this is a very interesting chapter all around. But do not regularly be by an ignorant priest, because ultimately he will feed you Tamura due to his close relationship with you. And Tamura is forbidden to a non-priest.
Is that short for tiramisu? What is that?
It's the showbread, I believe.
Oh,
Where are we at?
he's in the Talmud. He's not even reading a
Oh yeah,
Bible.
no, I just had a little bit. Oh, tirumah, that means unclean, doesn't it? Tirumah means uncleanliness, like ceremonially unclean.
Or it's a type of offering.
Oh no, what am I thinking
Yeah,
of?
It's not short for tiramisu.
I'm not sure what you're talking. I
No,
was thinking
definitely
it
not
was
that.
specifically about the
Tiramisu is my
showbread
wife's
offering.
favorite dessert.
Anyway.
Wait, go ahead and read that first sentence too. It has nothing to do with the lesson, but I just want to hear it.
Oh, you want
And
me to
do
just
not
keep going back
regularly-
because it's
No, just do not regularly
and do
be
not
around.
regularly be around an ignoramus because ultimately he will feed you untithed produce as he is not careful to tithe. Yeah, that's a
This carrot
that's
hasn't
actually
been
like
tithed.
it's a legal term in the Talmud. Anyway, do not and do not talk extensively with a woman because ultimately you will come to adultery. I can also make the text a little bit bigger.
Well, Mike Jones is off the hook. He didn't know that was Cora.
Oh no, I lost my spot. Oh, here it is. So you don't talk to a woman because you will basically always have intercourse with them if you talk to them a bunch. Rabbi Ahaz said, son of Rabbi Yosai, says anyone who watches women will ultimately come to sin, and anyone who looks at the heel of a woman will have indecent children as a punishment. Okay. So
You know
if
what I
you
find
watch a
interesting
woman,
about
you're gonna be
this
sinning.
stuff? Because so far all the three things we've read are not they're obviously taken to an extreme, but at the same time it is generally, the sentiment is generally good advice. And we can even see here with the looking at the woman, obviously they're trying to address lust in the same way that Jesus did, but
Right.
they're getting it wrong because they don't have God's spirit. So it's
Yeah,
very
and
interesting to see this kind of advice. This is like a pinnacle of Jewish worldly thought, and then you look at Jesus's version, and it supersedes it by a million because he's
right.
actually knows what he's talking about because he's divine.
Yeah.
This stuff's always kind of
Interest.
sad to me because, like, I grew up with so many rich female friendships. I still have a lot of them today. And, like, in Islam and in this, it's just so, like, you can't even look at their heel. Like, what about inside jokes? Like, what about laughing at stuff? Like, it's like, did none of y'all just have female friends you weren't trying to jump into bed with?
I had a couple, but one of them was a lesbian, so
That
that kind of
helps.
helped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was it your fault, Chris?
I don't know if I can tell this story.
You probably
One
not.
look at you, she was done with men.
There were 3 women that became lesbian after dating me, but not after dating me. Wait, hear me out. Okay, so I dated a lot of girls growing up. I don't know the counts. Just for like several years then I was like bouncing around. 3 of the girls I bounced around with, 2 of them actually ended up in a lesbian relationship together, which is interesting. But I dated them.
You dated
and then
Chris? I dated Chris too. That's how they started the conversation.
So there was a pattern. Jack saying no.
Yeah, thank
there's
you,
a pattern.
Jack.
I dated someone, and then a dude in my class named Jacob would also date that woman, and then she would become a lesbian. No other women that I ever dated became lesbians, other than when I dated someone and then Jacob dated them immediately after. Apparently, the 1-2 combination of me and him would turn women gay. So, yeah. Chris, I'm not sure if I can say.
I tried to stop him. I softly recommended, but there's no stopping the. Chris is like a freight train.
Nah,
that story made me sad. Now I'm an emo carrot.
Combine APs. You know what's funny?
I peel myself to feel alive.
I peel myself. Okay, let's get out of this rabbit
got
hole.
dark.
This
My
carrot hole. All right. Anyone who watches women will ultimately come to sin. Anyone who watches the heel of a woman will have decent children as a punishment. We'll go through this in a little bit if we just keep reading, but they actually basically view nudity as evil, and even if it's your wife, which the rabbis get to in a little bit. And this relates to all women, including his wife, when she has the status of menstruating woman. So if your woman is menstruating, you can't look at her genitals.
Now
Rabbi Shin,
that is good, solid for a Torah keeper. That's good, solid biblical counseling there, because sexual relations are forbidden during menstruation. So
Right.
they were on that one.
I mean, yeah.
It's that's one of those that's a capital crime, actually, according to the Torah. But that's it, Chris. That's as far as we're going to go into it. We don't need anecdotes. We can just say that the Torah says, and then please continue with the Talmud.
Indeed. All right. So, yeah, anyway. And this relates to all women, including his wife. Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish said the heel of a woman that is mentioned is not the heel of the foot, but the place of uncleanliness, the genitalia, and is called a heel as a euphemism, as it is situated opposite the heel. So that if a woman lays on her back, then the heels are kind of pointed inwards towards it, like an arrow or like a landing strip. Anyway. And so it is taught in a Berita that his fear may be upon your faces. This is referring to shame, as shame causes one to blush. That you not sin teaches that shame leads to fear of sin. And here from here the sages said, it is a good sign in a person that he is one who experiences shame. Others say any person who experiences shame will not quickly sin. And conversely, one who does not have the capacity to be shamefaced, it is known that his forefathers did not stand at Mount Sinai. So interesting little thing about there, basically calling you a goy. This is the matter I really wanted to bring out, and this is why Jesus is saying what Jesus is doing. Chris wants to tell a story so bad. I hold myself back so much. You guys have no idea. All right, the ministering angels told me 4 matters. So this is by divine decree, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Pushed a button I shouldn't have, which is escape. If you push
Control
escape on
F
Safari,
angels.
it closes all of it. So the ministering angels told me 4 matters. What reason do lame people come into existence? So if you are lame, why? It is because their fathers overturned their tables. This is a euphemism which will come up in the Talmud in a little bit. They engage in intercourse in an atypical way. This is also a legal term, and it what is it? My brain. I'm so used to
Jenner
Robles
after
every
us
time.
today.
Yeah.
Is your father
this
overturning
usually-
tables, Chris? Is that why you can't make your program work?
This
I
usually
was.
means the butt. It can also mean the mouth or hands or anything else,
The
including
carrot
thine.
hole.
Yeah, the carrot hole, the corn hole, you might even say. So if you turn it over and use slip it in the wrong way, that causes your children to come out lame. How that could cause children is its own question. For what reason do mute people come into existence? It is because their fathers kissed that place of nakedness. So if the man does any form, I was about to do it again. If the man does any form of linguistics on the woman, then it becomes a mute child. For what reason do deaf people come into existence? It is because their parents converse while engaging in intercourse, which is interesting. For what reason do blind people come into existence? It is because their fathers stare at that place. So if your dad
Where are you supposed to
stares-
look? You can't look at their heels. You can't look at their eyes. You can't talk to them. Like, what did this look like when they were engaging in this? It's like blindfolding themselves. It's just go in exactly the right motion and don't do anything.
There's a description that's about to come up on what it actually looks like. It's amazing. But they basically had this view of if you enjoyed the beauty of your wife, that was sin. And it wasn't just sin, it would also cause physical ramifications to the children, which is also in Islam, by the way.
That's what I'm talking about, this nut stuff where it's like the beauty of a woman is just so toxic to this. It's like
Right. So you have that. And like, this is one of the things where, like, Ezra Horowitz, and I streamed with him last week. One of his big things is like the Talmud destroys what God meant for us in the Torah. So God gave these protections and regulations for us so that we live a more holy life, but he didn't do it so that we became hateful to this life. The Torah is meant to bring life and improve it and free us, not meant to this. So, yes, we are in fact reading the Talmud, but we're also reading John 9. So this is the context of John. Whenever Jesus says, hey, who sinned, this man or his parents? Well, what would be his parents' sin? His dad was looking at his mama's hole.
No, right.
If he does that, he'd be born blind.
Was it just her
so
eyes?
Then Jesus, no.
Oh.
Is because the father stare at that place. So if
why do blind
looking
people
at
don't exist? Is because they stare at that place. I thought that place would be the eyes, because that's where they're.
No.
Oh, okay. Well, how's it supposed to aim? You don't want to go in their butt, then they end up lame. You got to aim some kind of way. It's ridiculous.
Now this sounds funny, but Christian, you know what the Jewish response to that question would be? The rabbinic response would be,
of course you would.
Well,
know.
I would. they would say, well, what constitutes staring? Rabbi such and such says staring is if you look at something as long as it takes for the sun to dip below the horizon. But Rabbi such and such says, no, staring is how long it would take to observe a cow giving birth. And then they would say, okay, so it has to be less than, then they would calculate it to, well, it was probably 3.5 minutes. And then they would argue about that. Chris knows this is the entire Talmud.
I didn't know you had read this section of the Talmud already. You can explain this better than I am.
Imagine being that rabbi who discovered this. He's like looking down there that the kid comes about blind. He goes, because I couldn't stop staring.
Well, the rabbis are all perfectly pure, so they wouldn't figure it out themselves. They don't do anything evil.
Somebody was just telling them this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's just the superstition that was circulating. But that's actually why, right here, they give counter arguments. Because if a rabbi does something that the Mishnah outlaws, then they have to come up with ways to harmonize it, because the lives of the sages themselves are basically treated as scripture. So, and the Gemara raises a contradiction. Ima Shalom, the wife of Rabbi Eliezer ben Harkinis, this is one of the dudes, like one of top 10 rabbis, was asked, for what reason are your children so beautiful? She said to them, my husband does not converse with me while engaging in intercourse, neither at the beginning of the night nor at the end of the night, but rather at midnight. And when he converses with me while engaging in intercourse, he reveals a handbreadth of my body and covers a handbreadth, and he covers himself up as though he were being coerced by a demon and is covering himself out of fear. Earlier, Johnny actually has said sheet with a hole in it. That's literally what's happening. She is fully covered with a sheet, and he is fully covered in a sheet. They literally look like ghosts. And then there is the thickness of a hand for him and her, and that's what they do it through.
The kid walks in. Oh, there's two ghosts doing it. Don't worry, Billy. It's just us. Mommy dropped a quarter. I'll help her to find it.
Yeah. And I said to my husband, what is the reason for this behavior? And he said to me, it is so that I will not set my eyes on another woman. Like, why is they only having intercourse literally at midnight exactly? So he would wait until literally midnight to do this with the sheets, with his wife. And it was so that he wouldn't. Yeah.
I thought this was going to be so much more intelligent. And by that, I mean, like, still pretty stupid. I thought it was just going to be like, oh, people are born blind because their parents sinned. I had no idea it was this dumb. I thought it would just be something like they lived immoral lives, and so God punished them with blind children.
I would love if on Judgment Day, these Talmudic rabbis are like in line with Christian Gadfly, and they get up, and then God points behind them and goes, 2,000 years after you guys, a man in a carrot suit was correct in saying how stupid your opinions were.
Hey guys, listen. Hey, You can stare. It's okay. Okay to stare.
Bro complaining about the Talmud being dumb dressed as a girl. Yeah. Anyway, so he's trying not to think about another woman. If a man thinks about another woman during intercourse with his wife, his children consequently come close to receiving a masmer status, i.e., the nature of their souls is tantamount to that of a masmer. So these are like manzir. They are illegitimate children. Therefore, I engage in sexual intercourse with you at an hour when there are no people in the street, and in this matter, in any event, it can be seen from her words that a sage conversed with his wife while engaging in intercourse with her.
Let me comment on this. So the Nag Hammadi Gnostic Gospels, they say that whoever you're thinking about when you have sex, that's what the kid ends up looking like. Wouldn't that be crazy? It's like a little black boy comes out. It's like, oh, I listen, I did not cheat on you. I promise. I
always try to have a certain level of decorum, and Christian Gadfly just like keeps throwing layups for so many jokes that I just have to. Chris wants to tell stories, and I want to tell jokes, and I just have to not.
I promise I didn't cheat on you. I was just thinking about Sidney Sweeney, and it happened, and now our child looks like a supermodel. Like all the kids just look like supermodels.
Wait, what does that say about me that I look like Bigfoot? There, that one was okay enough.
Flip it. Oh god.
Baby's a Lamborghini.
Why did baby come looking like SpongeBob?
You have a Shrek ogre coming out. Oh man. Do you know how many babies would be Shrek because of the stupid video that went viral like 10 years ago? It's all ogre now. You just got a bunch of little green babies running around.
Y'all want me to read that quote? I can find it. That way you'll know I didn't make it up.
I always get the I believe you about the Gnostics.
I'll find it anyway. This is a boring stream. I'm not missing anything.
So the Gemara answers, this is not difficult. So there's a contradiction. Why is it a contradiction? One of the most important rabbis, Rabbi Eliezer, is doing dirty talk with his wife. Even though the angel said, hey, if you do dirty talk with your wife, your baby's going to be mute. So the Gemara answers, this is not difficult. It's not a difficult contradiction. This is also their like default phrase with any contradiction. There's a couple that are like, oh, this is actually difficult. The vast majority of them says, oh, no, this isn't difficult at all. This permission to converse with her is with regard to matters of intercourse, whereas that restriction of conversion is with regard to other matters that are not related to intercourse. So if you start talking about like, oh, we need to do the dishes while you're with your wife, then your kid's going to be born mute. But if you are doing dirty talk, it's fine. Because that makes sense.
So they go through all that to get to basically what it sounded like they were trying to outlaw to begin with.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah, this is the passage that I think Surah 2:223 is coming from, the tilth phrase. So Rabbi Yohanan said, this is the statement of Rabbi Yohanan ben Davai. However, the rabbi said the halakha is not in accordance with the opinion of Yohanan ben Davai, the Hevai. Rather, whatever a man wishes to do with his wife, he may do. He may engage with her in any manner that he wishes and need not concern himself with these restrictions. As an allegory, it is like meat that comes from the butcher. If he wants to eat it with salt, he may eat it that way. If he wants to eat it roasted, he may eat it that way. If he wants to eat it cooked, he may eat that thing cooked. If he wants it boiled, he can get that thing boiled. And likewise with regard to fish that comes from the fishermen. Amenor said, who are the ministering angels that Rabbi Yohanan mentioned? He was referring to the sages, for whom he employed the honorary title ministering angels. So now they're trying to configure like, oh, well, who are these angels that are given this false opinion? Because if you say that he was referring to actual ministering angels, why did Rabbi Yohanan say that the halakha is not in accordance with the opinion of Rabbi Yohanan ben Dahevai? So like, hey, if it's actual angels, how in the world could the halakha be wrong? The ministering angels are more knowledgeable about the forming of the fetus than people are, even though they pull all of that from the Greeks. Clearly, if the ministering angels were the source of the ruling of Rabbi Yohanan, it would have been imperative to heed his instructions. Why are the sages called ministering angels? Because they stand out like ministering angels and as they are recognized by their clothing. The Gemara relates a certain woman who came before came before Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi. So this is the dude, Judah the Prince, to complain about her husband, said to him, my teacher, I set him a table using a euphemism to say that she lay before him during intimacy, and he turned it over. And Chris, Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said to her daughter,
isn't that directly quoted in the Hadith? The turning the table over?
I think so.
I think that's where I first heard about it. Unless I'm just mistakenly thinking it's a Talmud, but I thought that's a Hadith, an actual which really strengthens. I mean, not that it needed to be strengthened, but your whole Talmudic dilemma thing. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a Hadith. Someone said they were complaining to. I don't feel like it was Muhammad or one of the companions that I set a table for him and he overturned or something like that. Christian, you familiar with that? Am I remembering correctly that there's a hadith about setting the table for your husband? But it's got to be. I think that's the only place I've ever heard this.
I've never heard it, but there's a lot of hadith out there. I've only read 4 volumes of Bukhari, and I don't remember it there.
Oh no, I'll look into it. But anyway, so she complains and says that he turned it over. Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi said to her, my daughter, the Torah permitted him to engage in an order with you, and even in an atypical manner. And what can I do for you if he does so? Similarly, a certain woman who came before him said, my teacher, I set a table for him and he turned it over. He said to her, in what way is this case different from a fish, that one may eat any way he wishes? So you have that. And yeah, it just keeps going. So, and then it's not great. Anyway, that's the background on Jesus with Rabbi who sinned this man or his parents that he be born blind. So Jesus is setting this up as neither this man nor his parents sinned. So you guys are trying to talk about, and this is also in the Talmud, that's no harm happens without sin. So that is one of their core principles, core teachings. So they come up with all these weird random nonsense because of incidences that happen around them. And then they come up with some spiritualized explanation of why it was happening. Super common, because that is their understanding that bad things only happen if you do something bad or if your parents do something bad. Other than that, there is no such thing as a bad thing that can happen to you outside of it. So Jesus is rebuking that entirely, showing that the halakha is wrong, and even their idea of sin causing pain and suffering is also mostly wrong. Now, there's some truth to that. You reap what you sow, but it's not a direct causation the way that the rabbis are taking it. We must work the works of him. Then he calls himself the light of the world.
Wait, go back up to it. Don't go past that yet, because that part's confusing. We must work the works of him who sent me as long as it is day. I'm guessing that's during his lifetime. Night is coming when no one can work. While I am in the world, I am the light of the world. I'm not sure exactly what that quote means. But before we get into that a little bit further, I want to read. I found this quote. The children of a woman. This is from the Gospel of Philip. This is on page 181 of the Nag Hammadi text. The children of a woman brings forth resemble the man she loves. If it is her husband, they resemble her husband. And if it is a lover, they resemble the lover. Often, if a woman must sleep with her husband, but her heart is with the lover with whom she usually has sex, the child she bears will resemble the lover. So this was comforting to me because I was wondering why all my children looked like the Amazon man who delivers our packages. But now I realize that it's just because she's thinking about him and not because I've actually been cheated on. Okay, but back to Jesus. Yeah, because I think of him being like the light of the world all the time. So I'm wondering what he means by I'm the light of the world while it is day and we can only work until night. Or maybe is night the eschaton?
I think that this is an idiom that he's using. He does this a lot. I don't remember if this is explicitly identified as an idiom. I was looking that up and I don't remember if that is what the case was. So,
well, and I mean, let's not get lost in the forest for the trees. We're talking about a guy who's blind and he's the light.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
I mean, he's going to bring him light and all that. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Instead of framing it through, oh, this guy's parents are sinners, Jesus is saying, I'm the light.
I love how no one knows the background to why you're a carrot.
It's because I'm scared Cora is going to get on here and I don't want her to know who I am, so I have a disguise. This is my disguise. I mean, it's not a disguise. I'm actually just a carrot. An emo carrot.
Yeah. So, obviously the day is his life, the night would be his crucifixion, but the specifically no one can work might be part of an idiom. I have not gone deep onto that single sentence. So I do not know myself, but
he is
the light of the world. I'm running. He is the light of the world is a divinity thing, but then he takes saliva specifically and clay and he rubs it on the guy's eyes. So he spat on the ground with saliva and then rubbed it on the guy's eyes and then told him to wash in the pool of Siloam.
Now I know what this one means.
Sent.
What do you think is going on here? I want to see if you're thinking the same thing as me.
Every single aspect of that is in the Talmud.
That's what I was going to say.
It's also
isn't it specifically related to the Messiah?
It is.
What?
One of them is, yes.
So I'm just thinking of the creation of Adam out of the clay.
Yeah. So it is definitely creation of Adam. It's also a reference to Isaiah with the Messiah giving blind sight. So it's Isaiah 42, Isaiah 39, and
that's supposed to be eschatological, a sign of the coming of the kingdom of God.
Yes.
The lame walking and the blind seeing.
Yes. So then he actually quotes Isaiah later on and says, so he's like drawing the parallel for the Pharisees, like, hey, this is prophesied of the Christ. And he actually alludes to him being the Messiah. Then right after that, he accepts him as both Messiah and God, which is super cool. We'll get to that in a second.
Sophia Agape, this is a disguise in case Cora gets on here. I want her to think I'm a carrot, not know who I am.
Hello, gentlemen. This is not anybody you are aware of. Okay, perfect. Anyway, I have a question for you.
It's a disguise. Sorry, Chris. Keep going.
I guess I could show mine. This is what I started wearing the stream with. So, for context.
And I'm a responsible, mature adult, and I would never put on anything as silly as a gorilla mask or a carrot costume or a luchador mask. That would be ridiculous.
Nah, of course not. Yeah. Yeah.
That's what all the apologists should do now whenever they call into a Dawa show is have some dumb disguise. And then whenever people are like, why are you like, it's because I'm undercover. I'm doing 4D chess here.
So we all need to get replicas of our own faces so that we can wear us as a disguise and then be like, haha, it's me. But it's still just you.
Chris would try to do it, but then he'd go, it's actually pretty based. And everyone would be like, okay, well, we know who that
is. All right. So for this section, we have Jesus explicitly rejecting their understanding of why this happens, why a man can be born blind, as we just went through. But then not only does he do that, he then breaks like 3 Sabbath laws back to back to back to back of what the Jews came up with. So the first one he breaks is he needs clay. So in the Mishnah, Shabbat 7, so Shabbat is all of the laws of the Sabbath that you can't break. This is specifically the passage on the 39 laws that they invented, or categories that they invented. And one who needs is one of the categories explicitly. Now this adds the word do, but it's not actually in the Hebrew. The Hebrew is literally just one who needs. And Jews throughout history have applied this to way more things.
And sorry, apologies as usual. I've noticed that it takes you a minute to respond to me, and so that means there's this annoying delay on my end. So sorry for the constant interruptions that are. I've interrupted on purpose a couple times. Sorry about those too. But I wanted to ask you, when it's in the bold like that, that means what's actually in the text, right? And then the unboldened are what's assumed by, or basically kind of implied by the meaning of the Hebrew, or is that correct? The Hebrew and the Aramaic?
Yeah. So this is not the William Davidson. The William Davidson is like the best version of the Talmud, in my opinion. And both of them kind of do the same thing on Sephara. So if you were to do a literal translation, you wouldn't get a lot of this stuff included. That's the halakhic understanding that a rabbi would give to a talmid, to a student. Okay. So he's trying, and Sephara was introduced a couple of decades ago, and they were trying to come up with a way. And this super rich dude, who's a Jewish scholar, invented and made this Talmud that was designed to teach Talmud to non-yeshiva students. So you don't need to go through yeshiva for 17 years in order to understand the Talmud. So a lot of this is just what you would be taught, and it's also filling in like basic details. It's like, oh, the Gemara is asking this now, then there's context switches, because if you notice here, like that's very few words in the Hebrew, and this is a pretty decent sized paragraph. And what's happening is it's actually written a lot like the Quran, where it uses as minimal words as possible to relay something. Not only does this make the Hebrew text of the Talmud smaller, you also are like more like fancy, or like more like poetic and impressive of your writing. If you can communicate these things in such few words, it shows that you are like a master of your craft. So like why Muhammad was focused with doing that is because the people he was copying also did it. Anyway, so this happens in the Talmud and in the Mishnah. The Mishnah is typically longer. It's more word for word than the Gemara is. But if you notice this, it's like not that many words, and it adds a lot of context. Some of this context is explicitly identified in other sections of the Mishnah and the Gemara. So sometimes, and we also see this in Bereshit Rabbah, like he adds in a lot of context for like, this is what they're talking about. This is why rabbis are saying this. So you can actually, with Sephara, you can actually get a really good understanding of what Jews actually believe and teach on this matter. Now, does that mean it's actually part of the text? No, but does it mean that the rabbis would have taught that to their students directly? Yes, they roughly would have. And it is mostly accurate to what they would have taught originally, not through like the Maimonides lens. So it's fairly accurate from all the research I've done and reading I've done, which is a stupid amount of reading of the Talmud, of the Bavli. So, yeah. Anyway, the idea is if you need dough, that you're doing it for an occupation because you're making bread, but you can also need clay as an occupation if you're a potter. So the fact that he specifically needed clay out of the ground with his spit, that would break their law of Sabbath, because even if you do the smallest action of one of those 39 categories, you're still breaking Sabbath. So he is deliberately breaking Sabbath according to the rules of the rabbis, and then rubbed the clays on his eyes. This also breaks Sabbath. So in Shabbat 53b, we have a discussion on healing for animals. If you can, what you can do with an animal, what you can't do with an animal, and what is possible. So the first thing they ask is, can you put an amulet on an animal? Because they believed amulets were blessed by ministering angels to heal you if you were wearing them. So this was a bit of a superstitious, supernatural belief that amulets would heal both people and animals. Then they're like, oh, well, you probably shouldn't do that. Can you smear oil and scrape off a scab on Shabbat for a person or an animal? They say, no, you can't if there's the wound. If the wound is already healed, you can, as long as it doesn't cause any healing. So they're actually saying that you cannot heal on the Sabbath. Ulla said here, the sages issued a decree prohibiting all healing on Shabbat due to the crushing of herbs for medicinal purposes, which is prohibited by Torah law. It's not prohibited by Torah law, it's prohibited by the Mishnah. The sages prohibited cooling the animal in water lest one come to grind the ingredients used in the preparation of medicine. And then it keeps going. If so, the same decree should also apply in the case of a person. It should be prohibited to stand a sick person in water to cool him off due to the rabbinic prohibition against engaging in healing on Shabbat. The Gemara answers, in the case of a person, it appears as if he entered the water merely to cool off, not necessarily to cure an illness. If so, say in the case of an animal as well, as it appears as if he entered the water merely to cool off, not necessarily to cure an illness. The Gemara answers, an animal does not typically enter the water on its own to cool off, neither does one typically stand an animal in water to cool off unless it serves some healing purpose. Apparently, due to a decree, the sages were stringent and prohibited standing the animal in water, even if it will die as a result. So you have to let your animal die rather than healing them on the Sabbath. The Gemara now asks, do we really issue a decree for an animal? Wasn't it taught in a Brita if an animal were standing beyond the Shabbat limit, a situation in which it is prohibited to go fetch it, he may call the animal and it will come to him on its own? And do we not issue a decree to prohibit calling the animal, lest he come to bring it himself? Apparently the sages do not issue a decree in the case where one could incur a loss and there's no actual transgression committed. Here too, it should not be prohibited to stand in his animal in water due to the. And then it talks about herding, and Jesus talks about, picking up your animal and all that. Specifically, there was a section on healing and but maybe that's one of the other sections coming up. Yeah, I think it is. Okay. So that is the general prohibition against healing in general. So every single time Jesus healed a person, they're like, oh, you did it on the Sabbath. You weren't allowed to heal people like naturally. And they applied that to Jesus supernaturally. You weren't allowed to supernaturally heal people either. And then in Shabbat 108b, we find, okay, well, what do you do with someone who cannot see? Well, if it's for healing, if you're doing something specifically for healing, you're not allowed to do it on Shabbat. So when one washes himself in Shabbat in water from the Dead Sea, what is the halakha? Is permitted for him to close and open his eyes in the water so that the water gets inside? Is it permitted? It would, but it would also cleanse it from any infection.
It would disinfect it.
Rabbi, it definitely disinfects it. It would be painful, but it would clean it. So Rabbi Yamir said to him, that case I did not hear. However, with regard to a similar case, placing wine in one's eye on Shabbat, I did hear. As Rabbi Zera said, sometimes he said in the name of Rabbi Matan, and sometimes he said in the name of Mar Yaakov. And they both said in the same name of Shmuel's father and in the name of Levi. One of them said, with regard to placing wine inside the eye on Shabbat, it is prohibited because it heals. On the eye, it is permitted. And one of them said, bland saliva. So if you haven't eaten yet, saliva from one who has not yet eaten, even placing it on the eye on Shabbat is prohibited because it is commonly used as medicine. So if you use spit without food in it, it's prohibited to place it within the eye. It's also prohibited to knead clay. It's also prohibited to put clay on the eye as if it would be like replacing it. So that even the idea of what he was doing is also mentioned with the clay.
This helps you see why John recorded these particular details and why it made the original first century Jewish context so irritated with him. But then also at the same time, he's trying to, instead of like breaking the Sabbath, he's almost redefining Sabbath rest as being concentrated around him. It's almost like the point of the Sabbath was to point forward to the coming of the kingdom of heaven. And now that it is here, like the true rest is found in Jesus. So rather than being like a contradiction of what comes before, it's just like the concluding chapter of what comes before.
Yeah, so
that's what Muslims don't get. They're always talking about, well, Jesus abrogated things. It's like, well, no, not really. It always had a time limit on it. It was never supposed to, like, the, you know, because when you're reading like in the Tanakh, or really in the Torah, it's like when they're rebelling that all these new laws start appearing. And so it's like, he's not breaking the Sabbath, he's fulfilling it. He's completing it. You can say he's completing it.
I wouldn't say completing.
Oh, I forgot we had a Judaizer here.
Yeah, you forgot.
Yeah.
We do have the Sabbath in the Messianic reign. It says from new moon to new moon and Sabbath to Sabbath, all people will come before the Lord. The Sabbath and Hebrews even says a Sabbath rest remains. And I think that's a little bit more on towards a different. It's mainly on speaking on something else. But eventually, Christian, I will make my grandiose video on Sabbath keeping, and then you can we can discuss it there. I won't hijack tonight's stream. Maybe we can get Ash
I'll enjoy
up here.
this temporary jubilee. I'm watching you, Steven. Always watching.
I got my yard on.
Yeah, no,
you.
swimming is breaking Sabbath, so you can't do that. I would imagine they would just be like, I haven't read a halakha from the Mishnah on that specifically, but honestly, that sounds like something they would say.
Yes, and just in case anybody here isn't aware, all the things Chris is pointing out that the Talmud says is breaking Sabbath is not actually in the actual anything to do with the biblical parts of Sabbath keeping. It's Cora, she's here.
I'm just trying not to lead any women astray. I don't want women to have unclean thoughts about things while they watch this stream. This is for the ladies. This is for you, ladies. I'm trying to help you out.
Subtitle: A Real Mother Zuda.
He's a righteous carrot.
Real Mother Zuda.
With your niqab on. Anyway. So,
does Cora have to just sit and smell her own breath all day? Oh my God.
Yeah.
Imagine that with their diet. You're like eating hummus and pita.
My opinion is it probably smells like contempt and irreverence. That's what her breath smells like. I had salmon and grape leaves for dinner, but that was surprisingly left my palate rather clean.
You're gonna live to be like 152. I'm over here. I got jalapeno poppers, cigars, tequila. I'll be lucky to get to 60, man. Live fast, die young. Good carrots do it well.
Yeah. So, this is breaking the Sabbath in two different ways, both the clay and the spit, and that's breaking Sabbath in two different ways, both the spit in his eye, rabbinically, and on the healing. And then he says, "Go wash in the pool of Shiloh," which is also from the Mishnah. With regard to the rite of water libation, is when you pour water out in front of something.
This is what we talked about last
ritual
week.
Purposes. It is, yes, which is pretty interesting. So performed in the temple during the festival. This is the festival of Sukkot. How was it performed? One would fill a golden jug with capacity of 3 log with water from the Shiloh pool. So when those who went to bring the water reached the gate of the water, so called because the water for the libation was brought through this gate, leading to the temple courtyard, they sounded a tekiah, sounded a Torah, and sounded another tekiah as an expression of joy. The priest ascended the ramp and the altar and turned to his left. There were 2 silver basins there into which he poured the water. And then there were limestone bases and all that. So this is pretty interesting. Now Jesus is using the specific pool that they use at this festival because right after this, it says that the Feast of Dedication was occurring. So the feast right before the Feast of Dedication is Sukkot. So this was probably right around the time of Sukkot, and he's telling him, not only is he doing these things, which would annoy them in so many ways, he's then telling them to go use the water that they're about to use for purification in their man-made tradition on Sukkot. So he's now basically defiling the water that they would use in their ceremonies, but he does it, not only does it mean sent, which represents like Jesus as well, Jesus is the sent one, and it represents Adam and Eve and the new creation and all of that, and it represents Jesus as creator. It's also now showing that Jesus has authority over the traditions of the rabbis, and that he can heal him in the same way that the king is healed by Elijah with the Jordan. Remember, he dips 7 times, and the king's name escapes me at the moment. But he goes and he dips into the water, and he's healed. And also within that Mishnah that we read earlier, you can't dip your eyes in water in order for you to be healed. So now not only is Jesus breaking the command all these ways, he's having this man break the Sabbath, according to the rabbis, by dipping his eyes and being healed. But this man has to have the faith to go and find where this thing is blind with this stuff in his eyes, and then also to break the Sabbath according to the rabbis and wash in order to be clean. So it requires him to have faith to go out and do this very thing. And so it's the faith in the sent one, and the sent one has faith. It's so interesting.
And he's born blind. Imagine how he feels. He's born blind. He feels like the cold mud, and he has to like fight his way over to this pool, washes off, he comes up, and he's seeing for the first time. Imagine the emotions. Like, y'all seen those videos where there's like a baby and they fix their eyes and the baby can see for the first or hear for the first time. If you ever need a good cry, just put on one of those videos. But that would be just so intense. And then you see from that act this intense loyalty to Jesus, even though he doesn't even know who he is. And it makes one of the funniest lines in the Bible. I'll ruin it now. Jesus is like, do you believe in the Son of Man? And the dude's just like, tell me who he is so I can believe in him. He's like, shut up and take my money. I'm all in. Like, he just doesn't care.
I'm not skilled like the other youngsters on the screen to chat and listen at the same time. So just know I consider your joke funny enough to ignore Chris for a minute to give compliment.
Too many words. It's that's the subtitle of my autobiography.
So Jesus is doing like 6 or 7 things that all break the rabbi's customs.
He's kind of
for
a
the
gangster.
Purpose.
Yeah.
It's so gangster. And what's the purpose of it? The purpose of it is to show that he is Messiah and God.
Right. So it's
what
a
is he
dual
doing
thing.
here? This is a messianic miracle, specifically. So he's demonstrating that he is the Messiah, and that he is also God with the acts of creation and water and dirt, coming and forming and giving basically like new life in the man with his sight.
And their rules have no authority over him whatsoever.
It's so many things all in 3 sentences. Well, I guess like a paragraph.
That's how John is, man. This one's dense. John.
It's amazing.
If
you don't know the rabbinic stuff, you just don't get this. So most Christians who've read this, they just don't get how deep this was for Jesus. And as you just mentioned, John is referring to so many things all at once every single time he brings up anything in the gospel, that this is evidence for the truthfulness of the eyewitness testimony of John. He is living out these debates. These debates were not written down in the hundreds. So how did he know about these specific debates the rabbis were having?
And he knows all the geography of a city that got destroyed in the 70s, like in 70 AD.
Yes. Yeah. So if this was written in the hundreds, as some skeptics say stupidly, that doesn't make any sense, because you don't have the context of the rabbinic debates in the exact same way that he has here. We have it later on, but unless you were a rabbi, you couldn't write this book. And that's crazy.
Yeah, that's true. Because you'd have to be familiar with all of this stuff and intimately familiar with it. And again, the Pharisees, they were intentionally separate from the people. So you would have to have knowledge of how a specific sect would argue in order to be able to accurately fabricate this debate. It's not feasible.
We see that in all of the Gospels too. They constantly bring up rabbinic debates between Shammai and Hillel, constantly, and Jesus weighs in on a bunch of them, which is actually why the Talmud says he's a rabbi. So the Talmud at one point says he's boiling in poop, and the other point says that Jesus is a rabbi. And he even gives his teacher. So they give Jesus a teacher and make him a student and a rabbi, and even use some of his teachings explicitly in the Talmud. So sometimes he's the worst of people, and sometimes he's just a pretty chill rabbi that had some crazy opinions. Just depends on who you ask and what section you're reading from. Anyway, so Jesus is hardcore dunking on the Pharisees in so many ways and demonstrating who he is and what authority he has. And it's all casual. None of that is explained by John.
Right.
Not a single thing I just went over in the last hour is actually explained by John. It's just casually stated as if you should know, as if you would get the significance of this, which again speaks to the eyewitness nature of the Gospel of John. It's amazing. So he went back and he was seen, and then they call him, and then he saw his sight. Now it was the Sabbath day in which Jesus made the clay. So again, he even points out that it is a Sabbath and he made clay, and that he opened his eyes. These are things that are not allowed on the Sabbath by the Pharisees. So he's juxtaposing the Pharisees asking him with the Sabbath and these two things that they think are Sabbath breaking, which is pretty incredible. So John is just like perfectly lining up what the Pharisees should naturally be saying to this person. Even if this isn't like inspired by the Holy Spirit and we know what's being said, and even if we didn't have a bunch of Pharisees in Jesus's disciples to be there whenever the Sanhedrin was meeting to have this discussion, because there was a bunch of Pharisees that were part of it. So like, oh, well, how in the world could they know all these dialogues? Well, the Holy Spirit couldn't inspire it. Or there's all these people that became Christians that follow Jesus who were even later on, the Pharisees that are following him says, are we blind, Lord? So there are Pharisees that are explicitly following Christ. This is how John would know about these things being happening.
Well, Paul even calls himself a Pharisee of the Pharisees.
Yeah.
So even Paul was in so that group.
Yes. So, yeah, and he said to him, and he applied clay to my eyes, and I washed and I see. And then he said, this man is not from God because he does not keep the Sabbath. Well, why doesn't he keep the Sabbath? Because he doesn't keep their man-made stupid traditions. He's not breaking any law in the Torah at all. And he's deliberately healing a person. He's doing the messianic miracle. And they are saying that he is not from God and he even has a demon. They are committing the unforgivable sin, knowing that he is the Messiah because of this miracle. And they're butthurt about him rejecting their authority.
Well, and also for those who might not be aware in the audience, breaking the Sabbath is a capital crime according to biblical law. So they're not only just saying that, oh, he broke some rules, they're saying he broke rules that we are justified in sentencing him to death for. So this is a major, and I think it comes up next chapter too, where they pick up stones, but
kill him. Yeah. That's for blasphemy, but yeah.
Right, for blasphemy. So if people are unaware, that breaking Sabbath is according to biblical law, not rabbinical law, a capital crime. So when they accuse him of being a Sabbath breaker, that's a serious charge. It's like someone accusing you of being a murderer in our culture.
Well, and then also that kind of gives context to how brave Jesus must have been doing it, because he knew it was a capital offense. He knew how they were going to interpret what he was doing, and he did it anyway.
Right.
Yeah, it's so cool. And literally almost every single thing Jesus does in his public ministry is to undermine the rabbis, undermine the Pharisees.
While at the same time,
every single aspect of
proving his office,
divinity,
and his mission,
and his messiahship.
And
yeah.
they are both, they're not dependent on each other. He's doing both at the same time. By doing one thing, he's doing both, which is super cool.
It's amazing, man. It's so cool. Yeah. So, they're like, oh, well, he's a prophet. So he might be referring to like Deuteronomy 18. Like he might be referring to the prophet. And then the Jews did not believe it of him that he was blind, had received sight. So they were so offended at Jesus that they didn't even believe this guy was blind. And so they had to call into his parents. If they believed he was actually blind, they would know this is the messianic miracle that they've been waiting for hundreds of years. And yet they're like, hey, is this your son? Was he born blind? And they're like, yeah, this is our son, but we don't know what happened. He is of age. So this dude has been blind for at least 30 years. If he can give witness testimony in court, at least 30-year-old blind man, he will speak for himself. And then Jesus heals him. So if he was right around the age of 30, because he seems to be a bit younger, maybe he's like almost the exact same age as Jesus, which is also kind of a weird thought to think about. If he was a bit older than Jesus, that's also just mind-blowing. But he was blind for pretty much the entirety of Jesus's life, if not the entirety of Jesus's life. And then Jesus gives him sight. And then I love his response, and it was just...
It's my favorite. It's one of my favorite lines
One thing
ever.
I do know, that though I was blind, now I see.
Well, go
That's
back up.
awesome.
Let's get it. We skipped ahead.
Oh.
We're missing the...
All right. What do you want to talk about?
So they go to the parents. How he sees up, ask him himself, and then go to the parents said this because. So go down to verse 22. That's where we left off.
I will be attending to on my channel. I've got this thing going on. I'll be right back. While Christian,
He's got a stream he's got to take care of.
I can only take so much carrot.
Vitamin A helps you see. He chooses to remain blind, unlike the man in John 9. His parents said this because they were afraid of the Jews, for the Jews had already agreed that if anyone confessed him to be Christ, he was to be put out of the synagogue. So they might know more than they're letting on. They might know that Jesus healed this guy. They just don't want to. They go, you know what? He's a grown man. Go ask him, because they don't want to be thrown out of the synagogue. For this reason, his parents said, he's of age. Ask him. They're trying to concentrate the damage, because if you're thrown out of the synagogue, you're thrown out of the whole community. I mean, they don't have like these personal homes like we have, where we can just get on YouTube and not have to deal with each other. The synagogue is like everybody. It's your popularity. It's your friends. It's, your D&D club, whatever. All of it is together at the synagogue. So if you're kicked out of that, you're kicked out of all of your relationships within the whole city. And so they're just like, ask him. They're kind of throwing him under the bus a little bit. But it's also...
They absolutely are, yeah.
But it's also like... so it's interesting. Jesus is willing to die for the guy by healing him because he's committing capital offense, and his parents won't even be thrown out of the synagogue to defend him.
Yep.
So for this reason, his parents said therefore, a second time, they called the man who had been blind. So they're pulling him back. The first time they asked how it happened, he said, I guess he's a prophet. Is that what he said? Give glory to God. We know that this man's a sinner. And he answered, whether he's a sinner, I do not know. So he says, he might be. I don't know. One thing I do know, though I was blind, now I see.
He's basically paraphrasing Isaiah and the Messiah, which is just so baller, man.
Well, it makes me think of like when people attack David Wood and say he's this terrible guy. David Wood could be like, or he's not a real Christian or whatever. It's like, well, I was a psychopath killer and now I'm not. It's like, obviously Jesus has had some kind of an impact on him.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. So they said to him, what did he do to you? How did he open your eyes? I already told you to not listen. So now he's pointing out you're not listening. Why do you want to listen again? Do you want to become his disciples too?
I love that line. You keep asking me about this guy. Do you want to be his disciples? That's such a funny way to respond to that.
Right. And then they respond with, we are disciples of Moses. This is like the claim of the Mishnah.
Look how they insult him first.
From Sinai.
You're his disciple. We're disciples
of
Moses. Disciple. Making this contrast between following Moses and following Jesus.
Yeah. This is from the very first chapter of the Mishnah, which traces the lineage of the teachings from Sinai to basically the generation of Judah the Prince. So you have this in the Talmud as well, like where they are this unbroken chain of disciples from Moses. So that is also a rabbinic idea. And then we know that God has spoken to Moses, but as for this man, we do not know where he is from. Ironically, just the chapter before this, they were saying, we know where this man is from.
So he's
can't
from
be the Messiah.
Galilee. Yeah.
Yeah. Now they're saying we don't know where he's from. They're indicating that he could be the Messiah. Now the actual.
Do they kind of remind you of Dawa people? It's like where the facts just change depending on what argument you're in.
Yeah, or some polygynist. Yeah. Anyway, I have a video coming out Friday. I crashed out a little bit. I may have woken up my wife because I screamed at my microphone while recording that video. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. I got a little heated.
I love his sarcasm. So first he's like, why are you asking so much about him? Do you want to be his disciple? And then look here.
Well, here is a marvelous thing that you do not know where he is from, and he opened my eyes. So what is he inferring from this? You don't know where he's from, and he opened my eyes. He's inferring that this man is the Messiah. What's the marvelous thing? He's the Messiah. So he's pointing out to them that their logic shows that he is the Messiah. We know that God does not listen to sinners, but if anyone is God-fearing and does his will, he listens to him. Since the beginning of time has never been heard that anyone opened the eyes of a person born blind. If this man were not from God, he could do nothing. So
if I were back there in the first century and someone tried to interrupt him, I'd be like, let him cook. Because he's preaching.
What's amazing is this guy is blind from birth. So this is full of Jewish Tanakh sources and understanding and belief. Like this is very biblical response to the Jews, to the Pharisees. Yeah, he's blind. He can't study it for himself. So he got all of that either through the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, which happens in the New Testament, or through him being diligent and listening at the synagogues every week while the scriptures are being read, and he's memorized a lot of it. He's internalized a lot of it. And he responds with quoting Isaiah, one of like the prophet, which is just amazing to me. So like the faith of this blind man and how not only did he believe Christ and risk death himself to be healed, but his accepting of Jesus as Messiah even before he goes back and sees him again.
Chris, do you think this man cares if he gets kicked out of the synagogue?
No.
Yeah, not at all. It's like, he's done, man.
He can see now.
He was so sick of being blind. And also, as is typical in John, there's multiple layers to whatever theme he's doing. So this guy is now able to see physically, but also spiritually. So his blindness is fully removed. He's no longer blind.
And they're doubling down in their blindness. So you were born entirely in sin. So again, this is their belief. He was born in sin because he was born blind. And you are teaching us. So they both recognize that, he's schooling us, he's cooking us. And they're doubling down on their false belief that Jesus had already called them out on. Now, granted, that doesn't mean that this room of people specifically heard Jesus call them out on it, because we don't know if the Pharisees that he was interacting with there were the Pharisees that are here. We don't know what the connection was between them. But he answered the Pharisees already, and I love how John is refocusing on you were born entirely in sins. They are not accepting Christ's teaching on it, even though Christ healed the blind.
Well, and look how their own logic blows up in their faces, right? So they're like, well, him and his family are evil. That's why he's blind. Okay, well, does that mean then if only good people can heal? Well, apparently. And so a really, really good, the person had to be really, really good in order to heal me. So by your own logic, you should be saying that Jesus is good. And then the fact that this good Jesus chose to heal this blind man also shows the blind man is good, by their logic.
Yeah, I mean, the rabbinic logic oftentimes it ain't logical.
Oh, that's a great point.
this is such a wonderful point, because that was the superstitious belief that, oh, this guy's blind. Their parents, man, that his dad's a starer.
Wait, let's read that out loud in case someone's just listening with audio while they're working.
Think
on
about
chores.
how much this man and his family was judged by the people around them
By being Del
blind.
Fiki. That's a comment we had. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's something that's not even in the story that we know must have happened, is the fact that this man was born blind. This family was probably judged forever, probably embarrassed. You know, if they had those dumb rules. So we have to remember the Talmud, a lot of it is from later. But if they had those dumb rules at that time, everywhere that dad goes with that blind son, he's probably blushing, knowing everyone's thinking he stared too long at his wife's vagina or whatever dumb thing it was. I don't remember what it was, or heel, or
that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, so everyone has this knowledge of, and then if he was like, I didn't even do that. Well, you can't argue with the Pharisees. You don't have the authority to do that. And so he'll just have to sit there and take it and just be embarrassed his whole life. And the son has to be embarrassed his whole life and blind.
Yeah. How it's like the woman is bleeding. The exact same thing with the woman bleeding.
Or lepers too.
How much she was that way for years, and then she was that way for all of her like
12 years.
childbearing years. Because it like likely started whenever she was menstruating. So if she was like started 13, 14, 15, and then was bleeding constantly for 12 years after that, she'd be in her mid-20s, late 20s maybe. And during that whole time, she could not have been married because it was illegal under the rabbinic law for her to get married. So for the loneliness and pain and suffering of that woman, and they counted it as any drop of blood. Didn't have to be a lot. Didn't have to be like a flow. If there was any drop of blood, you were not allowed to get married as a woman. So she was single for years. And in that culture, especially, like that is a massive part of being a woman, is to get married and have children, produce a family, and then to be a good wife. And they're an honor-shame society. So for her to be constantly shamed for years, the massive chunk of her life, and her to have the faith, if I just even touch the tassel of his cloak, I will be healed. It's just, the Bible's so cool, man. Anyway, so into some of Jesus's favorite stuff, or my favorite stuff. Jesus says, Jesus heard that they had put him out, and this is again from the Talmud, the idea of putting him out
after finding him, which means he looked for him. That's pretty cool.
And he said, do you believe in the Son of Man? So he's speaking of the Son of Man from Daniel and as of himself. He answered and said, who is he, Lord, that I may believe in him? He calls him Kyrios here, but it's not in the like Yahweh sense likely. Jesus said to him, you have both seen him and he is the one talking with you. So who is the Son of Man? Who is the Messiah God? Jesus identifies himself as the Messiah God, and he said, Lord, I believe, and he worshipped him. Proskuneo, if you want to talk about proskuneo. That word there.
Prosekunesin. Oh, just it can be bowed down, but it's also like, I think in this context, it would definitely be worship. And people like Alex O'Connor and people who like low Christology try to say that it's only bowed down and that latreo is the only way to do the kind of worship where it's reserved for God. But that's not true at all. Because if you like read in Acts, like in Acts 11, Cornelius tries to proskuneo before Peter, and Peter's like, whoa, what are you doing? I'm just a man.
Ooh. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. We also have that in the Old Testament, I believe, where it's explicitly worship.
Where it's in this context where he just gave him his whole life and he gave up his whole community to try to believe in Jesus. It's worship.
Here's Abraham bowing down before Yahweh physically.
Yeah.
Genesis 18. So I mean, you got a number of instances where this happens. It happens hundreds of times. 136 to be exact in the Old Testament, and then worshipped 52 out of 60. Like it's the overwhelming translation of the word in the New Testament is worship.
What does worship mean? It means to prioritize something over everything else. That's literally what this man just did. He gave up all of his community, probably his relationship with his parents, to follow Jesus. That's worship.
Yep.
He was already worshiping him before he bowed down. The bowing down is just a physical manifestation of what was already happening in his heart.
Yeah. I love that he has the two lords here. Jesus, like Lord. But Lord can just mean like a master, king, servant, an honorary title for a man, or it can mean literally Yahweh. I feel like the first time it was for a human, the second time it's for him as God, especially because he worships him immediately after that. But he might have understood who the Son of Man was, what he meant by it. So it's so cool, especially because he had deep knowledge of Isaiah. So if he has that deep of knowledge of Isaiah and all the rest of the prophets, he probably knows about Daniel 7. I mean, it's not a shocker, especially because the Pharisees know about Daniel 7. They get offended by it. But we have the Lord, I believe, and then he worships him. And then Jesus doesn't rebuke it for the Muslim who's not here anymore. Who was here, then, spouted some nonsense and then left. This is Jesus accepting worship and being called God. Possibly being called God, but definitely accepting worship and definitely calling himself God. So where does Jesus say, I am God, worship me? That's the I am God, and this is him being worshipped.
And him not.
So this happens a number of times. And him not stopping. This happens a number of times. This also happens after he walks on water and calms the sea. The disciples get out and worship him.
That's a big thing that I think needs to come up in these Christology debates more. Like I like Khalil Andani. I think he's super smart. He's my favorite he's just light years beyond any Dawa guy. But he believes in these dumb arguments for low Christology, and I was arguing with him on Twitter. And one of the things I always want to bring up is this modus tollens, where it's like, if it's low Christology, how come he never tells people to not worship him? How come none of the epistles say don't worship Jesus? If we're really misinterpreting all these places where it looks like he's being worshipped, you would think there would definitely be a place somewhere where it says, no, don't worship him. And all of these instances of proskuneo is just bowing down. It's never clarified. That's a huge argument for high Christology, because the embarrassment goes in that direction. In a monotheistic culture, you're going to clarify that you can't worship Jesus if you really can't. Paul clarifies it whenever he's on that island with his buddy and they think that he's Hermes and Zeus or whatever.
Yeah.
And then, Peter and Cornelius, he says, don't bow down to me. So there's other instances where people can say, don't do this. Angels say, don't worship me. Don't bow down to me, like in Revelation. Mm-hmm. So obviously these authors in the New Testament are capable of saying, don't worship me. Jesus never says it. No one in the letters ever says, don't worship Jesus. And then you have all these people proskuneoing, giving up everything to follow him. That's worship. So there you go. High Christology.
Yeah. Man,
did your zipper get stuck, Steven? You were gone for like 20 minutes.
He was. Yeah.
Well, I do my my nightly rounds of greeting the family.
Oh, and maybe you had to keep with the Sunnah and wipe with rocks. That takes a while.
I remember when my dad taught me that. My dad was big into Native American culture, and
you're being for real.
Do what?
You're being for real?
Oh, I've not about the wiping with rocks personally.
Oh, okay.
But I was instructed on that when we'd go out. We'd hike in the desert or we'd hike in the woods, and with me and my brothers being kids, we're like, well, I just don't want to be in that situation. But he's like, if you are though, this is what the Native, and we were like, I remember they'd go to the creek and find smooth stones, and I remember thinking like, well, how does that work? And fortunately for myself, I've never had to. Chris was doing some military training. He might have, but again, I don't want to do a layup to Chris for another story regarding poop, because he'll just run with it. But
I got some poop stories.
Yeah, I've already got one ready as soon as you're done talking. So sorry, Chad.
And now here you go, guys. They're passing the ball your way, and you can take that however you want. But I am instructed in if the need arises, I'm prepared. Fortunately I've never had to harness those skills.
I did a mission trip in El Salvador drilling water wells for people off in the jungle who didn't have any clean water. And there's no toilet paper. I had to use banana leaves. It was so gross.
Really?
That's my whole story.
Yeah. I somewhat recently got diarrhea while in the middle of a city. And
What? You had to use like a pigeon?
Yeah.
Pigeon feathers?
I pooped in a bush, and I had to break off some of the branches of the bush to get as much of it as I could, before I just decided to walk back in poopy underwear. So
Jack Ray asked if we did well. Yes, we did. We got several really, really good, clean water wells that went down like 90 feet. So they were deep down under the gravel and everything, super clean. All the kids in the village had like swelled up worm bellies. And so they were finally able to have clean water. Are you laughing at worm bellied children that are dying in a jungle, Chris? Is that funny to you?
I'm not laughing about the worm belly children dying in the jungle.
And so they were
I
able
did feel
to,
like that whenever that was happening.
because all the water they did have was like hand dug wells, and like the one I looked in, it had like a dead animal in it. It was stinky, and that might be clean according to Muhammad, but it's not clean according to anyone with a brain.
Anybody else?
Yeah. And so they were able to finally have clean water.
In the Mishnah, it actually has the exact same passage as well. It says, if a well has a dead animal in it, it's still clean because water connected to the ground is not polluted by anything.
Yeah, they call it living waters, don't they? Like with the mikveh, it has to be running, like a running source. Like stagnant is bad. Now for Muhammad though, it was a puddle, I believe. It was a dirty puddle that he was in. So
the translated word is well. I don't remember if it's actually a well or a puddle. But yeah, it says that he explicitly had a well where menstrual cloths, a dead dog, and poop, if I remember correctly, were all in that well, and he would do wudu in it. So he would do ablution. He would rub it on his forearms, on his face, and then on his hands.
In the nostrils, I think too. Don't you have to?
Yeah, and then you have to. It's a whole thing. So he would be the smelliest man ever. He was constantly covered in baby batter. So I can't imagine. Which actually, I brought this up whenever I went over that hadith, but there's a story where Muhammad was he walked through the marketplace, saw a beautiful woman, lusted so hard that he ran back to the first of his wives.
His wife who was tanning leather. His
wife was tanning leather, and back in that day, the way you would tan leather is you would soak it in animal urine. And leather, if you've ever tanned it, has flesh on it still of the animal. So the tanning process removes the flesh and then hardens it so that it's durable. And it literally smells like death, decaying carcass, and pee. So, and that scent also gets like trapped in your skin for multiple days. So he didn't just like do it with her after she had cleaned up. He couldn't wait for her to get clean. So he did it with her while she was still covered in the gunk from tanning. And my thought was always, how in the world could anyone be such a gooner that they would be able to stomach the smell of that? But if he's constantly covered in that type of water, that makes total sense.
I've always had a really strong nose. And like, I grew up in the country, and if an animal crawled up under the house and died, I could sniff around in the house and be like, it's right under this area. I have a nose like a hound. When I was a kid, we lived in Chile. Yeah, I can't see well, I can't hear well or anything else, but I could smell really well. When I was a kid in Chile, there was like this fish factory that we drove past, and where they processed fish, and they had to roll down the window because I would puke every time we drove past it when I was a kid because my nose was so strong. If I had lived there with Muhammad and them, I just would have starved to death. I would have, nothing would have stayed down.
So 3 scientists debated the fastest thing in the universe. First one said light. The second one said thought, because at night I can think of the bathroom light coming on before it does. And the third scientist said diarrhea because even before I can think of turning the bathroom light on, I crapped myself.
You know what's weird is the smell of baby poop isn't bad at all, especially newborns. But like even
If they're
like
breastfed.
even my 2-year-old, once they start eating like meat, it's stinkier, but it's really not that bad. I don't know how you feel, Chris. You have a strong nose too. Are you okay with diapers?
I have nose plugs.
Oh yeah,
I have nose plugs. Yeah,
diapers don't bother me that bad.
I have partially vomited in my mouth from some smells that my children have produced. Whenever
Were you feeding them kimchi or something?
No, their diet's a lot of dairy, so it's just a lot of just milk solids that get.
Chat, aren't y'all glad you tuned in tonight? Aren't you glad you're here?
Anyway, we had a really good hour of just amazing Bible study, and then 20 minutes of fun commentary. You know, people come for both. You know, it's always a mix up.
Rotten
Anyway,
stuff.
I was going to finish.
Me way worse than like little kid poops. Nothing compared to a dead animal.
The only smell that's ever made me throw up was a barrel of leaves that were covered in rainwater that were left in the hot sun of Tennessee for a month and a half. So it was basically like kimchi. It was fermented leaves all the way down, but the smell was trapped because the lid was. I had to pop the lid off in order for the smell to release. So it was like a month of Tennessee sun on wet leaves, and that is the literal worst smell I've ever smelled. I've smelled a lot of amazingly bad things.
That almost sounds like a line from a country song. A month of Tennessee sun.
Cow poop's not that bad. Somebody in chat's talking about cow poop. It's really not that bad. They just
I hung out with cows.
My brothers in third grade, we went to a field trip to a dairy. And now my brother, my second youngest brother, he's famous for having a very weak stomach. Like my dad was this way too. You could get them to think themselves sick by just bringing something up. And but we went to the dairy, and it did smell, but it smelled bad. But my mom and my dad came along, and my youngest brothers did too. And the middle brother, as soon as we got out of the car, he was already like gagging. And then we walked up to where we could see the cows, and they're just standing there. And then, I mean, perfect timing, or
anytime you look at them, they start pooping or peeing.
Yes, and they're just standing there, and it just comes out like a machine, and then they're already like 2 inches deep in it. And so he saw that, and it was, I mean, he was vomiting the entire time to where they had to just take him to the car and sit in the car while the class went through the field trip.
Cows aren't that bad.
I didn't think so. I mean, it smelled like animal.
Yeah.
But it was, but it was too, some people have different levels that they can handle, and he's one of those that.
Yeah,
the day I took the bar exam, there was like you can hear like stressed out people puking in the toilets, like if you use the restroom or whatever. And there's like if you have a strong nose, you can smell if someone's stressed by the smell of their poop. And it was like stress.
I mean, even the smell of their sweat, I've noticed.
Oh, I can't.
Like, and
I can smell someone sick. If someone's sick, I can smell it in their sweat, but I can't. I've never smelled stress in sweat.
Yeah.
I can smell it in poop if your nose is too strong.
I can smell the vitamin content of my pee. So like my pee, I can know what food I need to eat based on my pee.
It's like a superpower.
And like, there's some foods that I love the smell of my pee with. Like really good quality salsa.
How about coffee? Do you like coffee pee smell?
No, that's horrible.
I wouldn't know. I've never drank enough coffee to have coffee pee. Coffee is so bitter to me. I can't possibly consume it.
Oh wow.
My smell is enhanced because of my albinism. So is my taste. So my whole olfactory system is affected by my mutation for my pigment. And
wait, what color would you be normally?
Chris is black.
Darker.
At least one part of him is.
No.
Wait, so you?
I'm a weird albino. I'm actually spotted.
You're
Like a Dalmatian. Yeah,
Here we go, body
I
hair
seriously
again.
doubt I could actually show it. I mean, kind of. You can see like that little dot right there. It's hard to see on this because my hands aren't flush.
That's
But
a
you can
pretty
see
white
kind of like
hand.
some of the dots right here. So there's like dot there, dot there. There's areas on my skin that have no pigment whatsoever, and some areas that have some pigment. Whenever my skin gets flushed and it turns red, you just see a bunch of little white dots everywhere.
Oh, that's
Mm.
crazy.
Yeah, so I'm spotted.
So you're
with
like
my
part
pigmentation.
albino. But because
I'm
you're a
type 2
white
albino.
guy,
Oh, wow,
you
look
just
at
look
that.
like a really white guy.
So that's a better example
That's-
of the spottedness. Maybe some of the other ones, but yeah, all of my forearms, my back, not as much of my face, but my arms have.
No, you know what's
bunch of
funny,
it. My
Chris,
legs
is
have
when
some
you
of it
got
too.
back from your vacation, and I don't know if this is a testament to the unending Alaskan sun, but your face has a lot more color than it did pre-trip.
How many white people are out there albinos and they don't even know because they're just pale anyway?
I don't know. That's a great question.
How'd you figure out you're an
I rub my arms
albino?
My eyes are see-through on a scan, and my doctor was like, "Hey, your eyes look like you're albino," and I was like, "Huh?" And then I started looking into the
How old were you when
characteristics
that happened?
and 18.
Oh yeah,
So I didn't-
wow. Okay, so you did like
didn't
your
know for
whole
a while.
childhood and didn't even know. That's there's probably all kinds of. You get checked. You might be an albino.
The hair that grows right here is actually just pure white, even though you can kind of tell it's white, but it's significantly lighter than the rest of this, and then I have red here. So I'm red, white, and blonde. But I would be entirely a redhead. I have the mutation for red hair, so this should be red, and the roots can look red in certain light, but it's like the tips of it kind of look just more whitey. I just don't have enough pigment, and then my eyelashes are white, and my legs are white, and most of my other hair is white too. My arms are white, so I just don't have the pigments.
For those who don't know, his
do
body hair comes up every stream. The other thing I want to ask is, what color hair do your parents have, Chris? Is it red,
brown?
brown?
Well, my grandma has red hair. My dad, I think, has a red beard. My dad's side of the family is all Irish. My mom's side of the family is all German. So I'm mostly a mix of those two.
Just
more
two
German than anything
angry
else.
drunk cultures stuck together.
Produced me. Yeah. So then, yeah. But anyway, so part of my weird mutation is that I'm very sensitive to heat, and I am very not sensitive to physical pain. So I can endure a beating much easier than a lot of people. But if it's like even a slightly hot in a room, I suffer heavily, which is ironic because I worked in a pizzeria and a Greek restaurant, which are not known for their coldness. Yeah. So I suffer with that. And then my eyesight's bad because of albinism. So this eye just straight up doesn't work. So this eye is for show. And then this eye is my eye that actually works.
You need to get an eye patch.
I have one.
You would
upstairs.
look cool with an eye patch.
I'm tempted to go get it. Oh wait, do I have it?
We'll dress like pirates next Monday. We'll meet back here.
So this is funny. Chris is projected to visit me in a month, and I lean more towards the melanin side of things. Although I've not been out in the sun lately, so me and Chris side by side will be a very funny sight. I think probably have to take some funny pictures.
Like salt and pepper.
Yeah.
Where did our boy go? Oh, there he is.
I don't see it.
Slithering around like an albino snake.
Like a
I have all my
slippery Judaizing
junk on the
albino
ground
snake.
right now. I was gonna see if I could find my eye patch real quick. I think it's upstairs in my dresser. I got the eye patch because the doctor was like, "Hey, maybe an eye patch will fix your eye." No. So I have a bunch of things wrong with that eye. It just basically doesn't work. Albinos typically have really, really bad vision. Luckily, I only have bad vision in one of my eyes, so I can still drive and do other things. And I have to shoot. Whenever I shoot, I have to actually shoot left-handed, even though I'm right-handed, and that's the most annoying thing about my eye situation. I'm also don't have depth vision, like a depth perception. So
Yeah, when you're one-eyed.
All the so 3D doesn't work for me. I can't watch 3D movies. It doesn't do anything. And then playing sports, my brain actually has to calculate the distance like artificially because I don't have parallax of distance to like, oh, that ball's coming at me. It's just like getting bigger and like, oh, that should be about here. So some challenges with that, but yeah.
I know what that's like because
Weird person.
were you guys, because you're younger than me, but did you ever, I forget what it was called, but there was a light up football. And it was like, there was just the main one. And it was shaped like a fireball. It was a football shape, but it had like grooves in it to look like a fireball. And if you squeezed it, it would light up. And the whole selling point was you could play football at night. And so we were super excited about that. We got that. And so we were like, okay, guys, let's play football at night. So we go out in the backyard and we realized there's some sort of weird thing that happens in the darkness with depth perception. It's dark and the football, you can see it way across the yard, but you throw that thing and it's just this little thing, and then all of a sudden it hits you in the face.
It's you in the face, yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
I mean, that's just it reminded me of that, Chris. When you must deal with that all the time. I've had to drive with one eye a couple times if my contact like got a crack in it or something, and you close one eye and you're driving and you realize, wow, this is not. You need both eyes. You have two for a
Would be
reason.
nice, yeah.
That's why you need to
I was
complain
born
to
with
your
one.
dad. Chris, you need to go to your dad and be like, how come when you and mom
Yeah.
were conceiving me, you were staring at her vagina with one eye open and one eye shut? Because now I'm left here.
Yeah,
I feel
I
like
should
I'm aiming
definitely do
all the
that.
time.
No, I've gotten so used to it. I don't notice it. I mean, the first time I noticed that I didn't have one eye that worked was whenever I rode a bicycle for the first time downhill. Because the fast motion of me being in control, this is like at age 4. So it took 4 years for me to realize that I only had one working eye. And then I got glasses, and then I had braces at the same time I had glasses. So I was just the nerdiest looking kid in elementary school. And now I don't wear glasses and I don't wear retainers, so my teeth are messed up down here.
Yeah, you make videos with the cool braided tie knot that I've been meaning to learn for like 10 years. You'll have to show me that, Chris, when you get here.
My eyes are not actually dark; they're gray. So, and I can't really like. Wait, hold on. I can zoom in. My
Zoom in on
eyes.
just one eye.
Yeah, I'll do that. See how close I can get.
Oh, it's become very intense all of a sudden.
It's
Oh,
that
yeah,
part
yeah.
of the movie.
Yeah.
Just leave it like that the rest of the stream. He's looking for the
So
ring.
if you can see,
He's
my
looking
eye
for
is
the
gray. It's
NGO.
not blue. So because my eye is gray, this is actually a part of the pigment stuff. Gray is the least pigmented color. Blue is actually more pigmented. So this is
Make
what
my
a
eyes
mostly
water.
unpigmented eye looks like. If you actually look at my eye in the right light, it'll turn red, which has freaked
Okay.
out my wife before. Yeah. So, which is pretty fun. I mean, so, I was like approaching her on the couch, and then the light shone in my eyes at a downward angle. If that happens, my eyes turn red. So my eyes started glowing red, and it freaked out my wife. And this was like 2 months into our marriage. So she was not a fan of that little thing. Yeah. And she didn't believe it actually, because I told her that whenever we were dating. She's like, then it happened, and she's like, that was scary. So anyway, I did one that defending a lion needs his own hadiths, and then Sahi all defending a lion. That made me giggle.
I
Anyway,
have a collection of my. No, that's a weird story. I'm not going to tell it. We made a fake Quran and Hadith when me and my brothers. I think I was 16, but we did it from the perspective of Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. There's no sense in telling this story. I was whatever. Let's get back to the nice stuff on the stream.
Let's go into some carrot ASMR.
We're only one chapter in of 2 chapters. And he said, Lord, I believe, and worshipped him. And Jesus said, for judgment I came into this world so that those who do not see may see, and that those who see may become blind. Some of the Pharisees who were with him heard these things and said to him, are we blind too? So the Pharisees were with him. And Jesus said to them, if you were blind, you would have no sin. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. So ironically, Jesus is flipping. He's doing the inverse of what the Jews' knowledge and expectations were, especially the Pharisees. The Pharisees believed that blindness was caused by sin. But he's saying here, if you were blind, you would have no sin. Why? We get in Romans that, without the law, there is no punishment of the law. Our consciences are operating as a form of knowledge of the law. So those without the law are still without excuse. But if you truly didn't have a conscience, let's say you're a toddler or like an infant, and then you were to die, you would not be held liable for sin because you did not have the knowledge of the law. Once we have our conscience, we now are knowledgeable of the law, even if we've never read the Torah. Therefore, we are held accountable for our sins. But Jesus is saying here, if you were blind, if you truly didn't understand, you would have no sin. But now that you say we see, your sin remains. So he's flipping what the Pharisees teach about blindness to show them that their view is so utterly wrong and so opposite of what God was saying in the prophets that you just don't get it even a little bit.
You honor me
And
with
so
your
cool.
lips, but your hearts are far from me.
Yes. So cool. And then he hops into one of the most base monologues in John. And I've been waiting to go to the bathroom whenever we finished chapter 9. But then we had a 30-minute tangent not finishing chapter 9. So I'm going to go to the bathroom.
I'll probably
you're
hop
gonna
off.
just turn it over to me and the carrot.
Well, I'll hop off once you get back because I need to go to sleep.
You
I'm
did.
tired. My leaves are getting all wilty.
Christian, what is the origin of that? There's got to be some. Well, no, actually, knowing you, maybe not. Maybe you just thought, hey, a carrot costume would be cool. Where did that carrot costume come from?
My daughter wasn't eating her vegetables, and I said, if you start eating your carrots, a carrot tickle monster will show up and tickle you. And so she was like really excited.
Oh,
about it.
nice.
Yep, it was a way to get her to eat her carrots.
Wow.
Yep, and then
Well,
I
that's
used
pretty
this.
cool.
I used this again at my church. I did like a game night that was lava themed. And so it was like floors lava. And then we made like this giant volcano out of chairs with a beanbag in the middle. And we played Mafia. And whenever the villagers voted to kill somebody, we would lift them up and throw them into the volcano. But this was my lava monster outfit. It was really just a carrot.
Just tuck the leaves into the face part, and it's pretty lava-y.
So you'd be surprised how much this gets used. Oh, a weirdo. Here comes the weirdo.
Gosh, of course the weirdo shows up because again, I will never stop stating it. Anybody who would ever put on a mask is just a total creep,
Has something to
and
hide.
I think it's just completely, just so immature. I like how Chris's go-to motion for a gorilla is nodding in agreement. Yeah. He's a very agreeable gorilla. Yeah, there we go. Yeah.
I feel like I'd be a really pretty Muslim woman if I was one.
It is. It's a good. It's an alluring little bit of your visibility. You got to get one of those little curtains though that
Comes down.
because yeah, you don't want to be too alluring.
I'd get a windshield for mine if I was one of them, and then I'd have little wipers if it got rainy.
Like a sob,
Got
like
him.
sob headlight.
Got him. That's not a very monkey sound. That sounds like a human laughing in there. He tries
That's
to
pretty
cover it up. He starts doing
Okay.
good. I'm a real
Bible's
gorilla.
back on the screen. I'll
Oh, look,
remove
he's
my
reading. Hey, quit talking over him, Steven. He's trying to read the Bible here.
He's interpreting.
Somebody left a comment that says, "Which one is not Cora?"
Okay, perfect.
Puzzle game. Which one is not Cora?
That's pretty good. Well, you know what though? That's more of a chimpy sound. Gorillas just kind of make that terrifying. Like, yeah, and then they sit. We just went to the zoo. I took pictures, and they sit there and they just look at you very judgmental. They just go, and then all these kids are like, "Wow, look, it's a gorilla," and they just kind of like. They're a very judgmental species. Those
I remember
gorillas.
as a kid, you go to the zoo and you see them and they're just laying around, and the little kid gorillas are always jumping around. It's like, I wish the big one would get up and do something, like fight something, you know. They just lay around. And then I became a parent and I'm just like passed out, like I'm on the ground, I can barely move. The kids are jumping all over me. It's like, if I was in a zoo right now, there's like aliens watching. Like, man, get up! I wish he would fight something or
Yeah,
get
right,
a snack. Or it's like, no, I get it, gorillas. I understand now that I have little ones. It makes sense. This is so fun. I don't want to get off, but I know if I stay on, I'm going to be so tired tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're still young. I was young once. We were soldiers once and young, and I was well, but never mind. Look at the result. No, Christian, you go get your rest. Do not
Well,
don't end
I'll
up like
probably
me.
have to get up. We finally got the 2-year-old off the passy, and she's not.
I'm only
like
20, and look at me.
All right, well, I love you guys. I'm gonna get out of here. Y'all have a good one.
Lila Tov, Christian.
Love you.
Chris is ready. Gotta go. Yeah, you damn dirty ape.
So hot, and there's so much fur on it still. I need to figure out if I can like wash it or something. Every time I wear it, I just shed.
Just
So
give it a quick
aggressively.
coat of like lacquer, a light coat of lacquer to get everything kind of adhesed on there. Adhesed. Adhesed. I feel like Candace Owens
I don't
right
think I
now.
can. Just, I don't know if I can show that. Just like
Oh yeah.
gorilla fur all over me. Anyway, should have gotten a better gorilla mask. It's what I get for shopping
Gorilla.
a Muslim store.
Gorilla with a voice changer.
Okay, let's try to finish John 10. Then I'll hop off and go back to working on the book, which is currently I don't have it open.
You know, I'm sad Christian's gonna miss John 10. He was big on both verses, but
I know. I was trying to keep it going. I just did not work.
These two chapters, though, back to back, especially, they're so awesome. It's just like you get this picture of Jesus where he's in full operation mode. Like he is taking people to task, and he's also demonstrating his sonship. And then you throw in, like in John 10, he's going to bring up he's in the temple for Hanukkah, so he's there for Hanukkah, and then again he reiterates that he's the light of the world during Hanukkah, and just very cool. So very cool stuff. Very cool stuff coming up. Let's hit it, Chris.
And I have some rabbinic stuff as well to bring out with that.
Excellent.
So, truly, truly, I say to you, so I'll reinterpret what the gorilla said earlier. Truly, truly, I say to you, he who does not enter by the door into the fold of the sheep, but climbs up some other way, he is a thief and a robber. But he who enters by the door is a shepherd of the sheep. To him the doorkeeper opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out. When he brings all his own out, he goes ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. A stranger will never follow, but will flee from him because they do not know the voice of strangers. So he has sheep that he calls specifically by his name, and that there are two folds that he's bringing together. And he's also the door by which you can enter salvation, which is pretty awesome. This figure of speech, Jesus spoke to them, but they did not understand what those things which were which he had been saying to them. So Jesus said to them again, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. All who come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep do not hear them. I am the door. So this is one of the 8 I ams of John. If anyone enters through me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. So salvation is through Christ alone. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I come that they may have life and have it abundantly. This is a divine prerogative, and I am the good shepherd. This is a divine title, even. And look at that. It has all the times where it pops up. Ezekiel's the specific one with the Yahweh is the good shepherd. But you have in Isaiah as well. So I am the good shepherd. So, if he just said I am the shepherd, that would be its own thing. But the good shepherd is a specifically Yahweh thing. And it's again an ego emi. So this is a divine thing mixed with a divine thing. Pretty neat. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not a shepherd, who is not the owner of the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches and scatters them because he is a hired hand and is not concerned about the sheep. This is actually from the Talmud.
Wow.
Yeah. So, I forgot to bring this up earlier. That'll come up in a second. But the rule about with regard to a shepherd who was herding the animals of others is a hired hand, and he left his flock and came to the town. If in the meantime a wolf came and tore an animal to pieces, or a lion came and trampled on the flock, we do not say definitively that had he been there, he would have rescued them, and therefore he's liable due to his absence. Rather, the court estimates with regard to him, if he could have rescued his animals by chasing a beast away of his kind, he is liable. His departure from the scene was certainly a contributing factor to the damage. If not, he is exempt from liability. And then it keeps going, and it goes through all the different mechanisms, and it says if an animal ambushes the sheep, then he's not liable, but he should have faced it, and he didn't. So then it keeps going. It's a pretty interesting passage in of itself, but it seems almost as if Jesus is like referring to those type of things where it's the hired shepherd does not care about the sheep in the exact same way that the real shepherd would care about it. And then the similar verbiology comes up, which is kind of neat. And because he is a hired hand, he is not concerned about the sheep. I am the good shepherd, and I know my own, and my own know me. Even as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, I lay down my life for the sheep. I don't think I actually brought this up, but anyway. I made a 2-hour video on polygyny. That's going to come out Friday. I have other sheep which are not from this fold. I must bring them also, and they will hear my voice, and they will become one flock with one shepherd. I should have brought this up as well, but it is what it is. He is one flock and one shepherd. So we're talking about, Jesus
Chris,
had 2 brides.
That, Chris, is something that I will the Yod Squad.
Yods.
That one, that's a very strong verse that will eventually come up in our cheeky showdown. One flock and one shepherd, just like in the Old Testament, when I think twice explicitly, there will be one law for you and the sojourner who sojourns among you. There can't be different menus and different days of worship, according to this verse, I would argue. But that's just some cheeky foreshadowing to
no call in. No, not call in tonight. Monday nights are just Bible studies, and I use the same link every week. And I don't want to put the link in the chat and have to deal with that in the future.
Yeah.
So, yeah, my Monday and my Wednesdays are typically not call in unless we plan it. The Fridays would be call in. I'm not going to stream Wednesday or Friday this week because I'm working on the book, which is it's coming along. That says only 302 pages. That's definitely wrong, as the number keeps counting up here. Yeah.
When you said the book, it reminded me of Zakir Naik. If you've ever seen it, when he goes, the book, Good old Dr. Naik.
So 570 pages at the moment that I'm going to try to
Wow.
get back down to 400. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm working on that this whole week. I'm going to try to get a rough draft of the book finalized this week so I can get
Oh
people to start
boy.
reviewing it.
Oh boy.
I'm pretty close to that point. I think within the next month, I should have everything but part 5 done. Part 5 is over 300 pages. I don't know when that's going to be done. So I'm going to have people review all the rest of the book before while I'm working on that section, and we'll come back to it. But I want to take this week off streaming so that I have an extra 8-9 hours to work on that book, specifically try to get it set up and done away. Anyway, so he has 2 sheep, 2 folds that are combined into one flock. For this reason, the Father loves me, because I lay down my life so that I may take it up again. No one takes it away from me, but from myself I lay it down. I have authority to lay it down. I have authority to take it up again. This commandment I received from my Father. So for the Muslims, like, oh, well, Jesus was killed. God was killed by his creation. No. God
Well, and I think
allowed himself to die.
more importantly, because that's its own thing and that's very easily refutable. We're dealing with, and we've always been dealt with. I mean, I have unsaved Jewish friends who have told me that even in school they've had rocks thrown at them and being called Christ killers. There is no such thing as a particular people group being a Christ killer, because if you're going to be so uh, uh, defensive, or what you perceive as supporting your Christ, you would have to acknowledge that you alone are enough to be the Christ killer. There is no such people group that is a Christ killer. It's not the Romans, it's not the Jews, it's not anybody. All of it's humanity. Humanity is the Christ killer, and this is the. I mean, if you disagree, you can take it up with Jesus, but he makes it very clear here that he is laying down his life. No one takes it from him. He is laying it down. So it's, I mean, I would argue it's blasphemy to accuse any one person or people group of taking Christ's life, because you would be arguing with his own word explicitly. He explicitly states this. And so it is completely uh, yeah, what word am I looking for? Try not to be too preachy. There is no such thing as a Christ killer. Well, there is, but it's humanity. Humanity is the
All of us
Christ killer.
together.
All of us together, because we are all sinners. And so to try to put that on a people group or a person or anything except for, I mean, because again, yourself is enough. So this is a very
Stupid.
I see it way too much, on social media. That the Jews, they killed Christ, and they were so ignorant, and they did it, and then someone will combat that with, well, the Romans actually put him down. They're like, yeah, but they wouldn't have if it was. It's just completely not correct. This is a satanic mindset to think that you can pinpoint anybody, an outside source that killed Christ. We killed Christ, all of us did, because we sinned. Humanity is the reason. But again, he did that for us. So it's not, this isn't, he didn't become, he's not our victim. He put himself in this scenario for us because he loves us. And
Yep.
I don't know, this is why when we get to these words of his here, it's so explicit that you just have to be, you're either so wickedly ignorant that you have no business talking on it, or you just are satanically fueled to put forth that sentiment. Sorry, Chris.
No, yeah. We've gone over that a number of times before, but it's always good pointing out
Mm.
again. If you want to go deeper into the commentary on that, you can go watch our Exodus streams with the law,
Yeah.
which were pretty based. Anyway, I have gorilla hair stuck on the back of my throat, so I keep like gagging on it. Now I have gorilla hair within my shirt, so I feel like I need to shower before I go to sleep tonight, which I'm sure my wife is going to appreciate, so I might just shower downstairs. Anyway, so a division occurred among the Jews because of these words, and many of them were saying, he has a demon and is insane. Why do you listen to him? Others were saying, these are not the words of someone demon-possessed. How can a demon open the eyes of the blind? At the time, the Feast of Dedication, so this is Hanukkah, took place in Jerusalem. And so right before that, he's doing the Pool of Siloam thing around the time of, which also makes sense why he's in Jerusalem, because Sukkot is the pilgrimage. So
Right.
while they're doing a pilgrimage, all these people are there. Jesus is doing this public miracle that would demonstrate that he is Messiah, and in a way also dunk on the Pharisees. So it's a very public thing that he did in chapter 9. And then we have the Feast of Dedication. Also kind of interesting to note, the Jesus was most likely born in the fall, so Sukkot was right around Jesus's birthday, which is just neat to think about. So he was likely just turned 31 or 32 in this passage. I think it's 31 in this passage. At that time, the Feast of Dedication took place in Jerusalem. It was winter, and Jesus was walking in the temple in the portico of Solomon. The Jews then gathered around him and were saying to him, how long will you keep us in suspense? If you are the Christ, tell us openly. So this is year 1 or 2. It's been a bit since I've looked at the chronology of John. I'm pretty sure this is his second year of preaching. So like, hey, it's been a while. Why don't you just tell us if you're the Messiah? And he's like, I did tell you.
I love what he says. Yeah.
I told you. Yeah, I told you. Gorilla hair? Yeah. Yeah, so there may or may not have been some monkey business that happened earlier. And a carrot.
That goes back to what was it last week when we talked about Kyrios George? That's what you got to name the mask. That's Kyrios George.
The John streams have been so much fun so far. Anyway, highly recommend the other ones if you haven't seen them. And I just keep thinking about the monkey fur. All right, so Jesus answered them, I told you, and you did not believe. So he's like, hey, yeah, I am the Messiah, but you didn't believe me. The works that I do in my Father's name, these bear witness of me. But you do not believe because you are not of my sheep. My sheep hear my voice, and I know them, and they follow me, and I give them eternal life. And they will never perish ever, and no one will snatch them out of my hand. So this gets into once saved, always saved. Can we lose our salvation? All those debates. I lean towards once saved, always saved, the caveat that we can choose to divorce God. So we can choose to do apostasy, and that would actually nullify our salvation. But I'm also of the view that once you apostatize, you are truly damned to hell, because of a different passage in Hebrews that talks about how if you've taken in the covenant and you fully rejected it, is there another covenant for you to take on? Can you crucify Christ again?
Yeah.
And the obvious implications of that is no. And there's a lot of warnings in the New Testament saying, hey, don't apostatize. So there is, is it different than the prodigal son? Absolutely. I would say you can even go through a prodigal son journey and call yourself an atheist, but not actually be a true apostate. But people who have walked with him, walked in the Holy Spirit, walked in all these gifts and left, I can't imagine that they are still under the blood. So I would say, like, God will never divorce you because of your wickedness and sin, but you can divorce God. It's kind of the idea. So you can't
Yeah,
behave your way into heaven. You can't behave your way out of it.
there we go. That's what it was. I remember we were having a discussion on it, and I like how you phrased that. That's
Yeah.
that kind of sums it all up.
Yeah. I like how I phrase that too, which is why I use it often. So, yeah. So, give them eternal life. No one will snatch them out of my hand. My Father who has given them to me is greater than all, and no one is able to snatch them out of my Father's hand, out of the Father's hand. I and the Father are one. So the Jews pick up stones again to stone him.
Yep.
So they're recognizing the blasphemy. If he's not God, this would be blasphemy. So they are rightfully condemning him to death, but he's also doing the messianic miracles. So he's claiming to be God, and he's obviously Messiah. What do you do with that?
Right.
And they were
just
confused.
like with the blind man.
They didn't know what to do about it. It's like,
right.
I have no idea if he's the prophet.
And so
if he is
we get met with this
the Christ.
choice.
I have no idea.
We have eyes, we have ears, we can see, and we can hear, but we don't like it. And so what do we do with it? And I think I think most people can relate to that feeling. But it's rough. But that's kind of when you get slapped in the face with your own carnality, and you have to decide, what do I do with this? And I mean, it really is, it's up to you. And a lot of people aren't willing to make the obvious choice. I mean, even how this passage started, where he says, I told you. They're like, oh, if you're the Messiah, tell us. He goes, I did tell you, but you didn't listen. But they're still asking. I mean, and this is after he healed a blind man, a man born blind. So not even just a blind man. This miracle. Is a very particular thing. And
that was prophesied. Yeah.
Right. So but even just that was enough. Right.
Yeah. That one thing, and again, that was it's like the lame walked right before this in John 5 or John 6.
And they also then accused him of breaking the Sabbath then.
Yep.
I mean, this is a recurring theme, right? And he was carrying his mat. Is it lawful for you to carry your mat on the Sabbath?
Which would also be part of that list that we mentioned earlier.
Right, the 39 types of work.
39. Yeah. So he is deliberately getting not only himself to break the Pharisees' traditions, he's also getting the people that he heals to break the Pharisees' traditions, which is also kind of interesting in and of itself. Like once you are healed, once you see, you then should break the Pharisees' traditions. Yeah. But he's claiming to be God. And then the Jews pick up stones to stone him, but they don't immediately kill him, even though they should have already done it. Why? Because they're convicted. They are torn of, he is healing. And this is also why Jesus responds to them. I showed you many good works from the Father. For which one of them are you stoning me?
Yeah,
so
his
defense is like, I did these miracles from God. You can't deny them. Why are you stoning me for the messianic signs I've displayed?
Exactly.
And the Jews answer him, for a good work we do not stone you, but for blasphemy, because you being a man, make yourself God. And so how, like, Muslims are like, oh, the Father and I are one, does not mean that he's God.
Right.
But the Jews interpret it as him saying that he's God.
Yep.
And then the Jews know what Jesus is saying significantly better than us. Right. At least from that context. Like, this is the same thing in the Quran. Like, oh, well, the Quran never says that Muhammad was stealing from all of the people that came before him. It's like, yes, it does. The Quraysh are saying that all the time. That's their most common polemic against him. It's like, hey, you're just repeating people that said before you. Like, but that doesn't come up in the top. Like, yes, it does. Well, that doesn't come up in the yes, it does. Well, it doesn't come up in the Quran. It's like, anyway, very, very stupid. So we usually use the primary audience's interpretation of something as some level of credibility to the interpretation of the passage. Now, could the audience be entirely misinterpreting what is being said? Yes, but a lot of the time, whenever that happens, the author points it out.
It's explicitly stated.
Explicitly.
Right.
with the cross. Whenever it says, like, my God, why have you forsaken me? Like, oh, well, they're calling out to Elijah.
Elijah.
It's
Right.
obviously not the case.
Right.
So it clarifies even with the transliteration of this is what he was saying.
Mm-hmm.
So it shows, it just shows that it's such a bad argument that, oh, it doesn't mean that he's God, when the audience that he's talking to declare that he is God says, yeah, you're making yourself God. And
Well,
then he
and
responds
again,
with, hasn't,
if this was the only time, then it still wouldn't be a good argument, but you could make it. But this is not the only time that this is brought up. We have
yes.
his trial, where I think last week we talked about the high priest tearing his garments and saying, look, this man
Mm-hmm.
makes himself one with God. So we have multiple attestations of this accusation. And again, even before this, they accused him of breaking the Sabbath, which again is a capital crime. And they didn't pick up stones then. And so this one explicitly, they were like, this one, you
We
can even
can't deal
break
with
the
it.
Sabbath and we're not going to do, but you could, but now
Right.
you're saying you're one with God and we've got problems with that. So
Yeah.
it's just a very
The
weak
first
argument.
time, the first time it happens is Mark 3 with him healing, or
Hmm.
forgiving the sins.
Yes.
He
And they say no one
forgived
can forgive
sins.
sins but God.
So he's making himself out to be God. He's like, why does man blaspheme? So they even call it blasphemy.
Hmm.
So the same thing that they kill him for later, they see him doing in Mark, and then they're like, what? So they're
Hmm.
like, oh, he healed the lame. That's a messianic sign, but he's also claiming to be God. We don't know what to do with this.
Right.
So again, like, the audience has slowly worked their way up to death, but they also are getting more and more evidence that he is both God and the Messiah the whole time.
Right.
So whenever Jesus says that the iniquity of all the generations before you are poured out in this generation, that's because they had the most evidence of Yahweh and they fully
Yep.
rejected him.
Yep. They
That's why they're
knew.
punished.
It's because they knew and they rejected it. In their knowledge, they rejected it.
Yes. Yeah. So
Rough.
Jesus said, answered, it's crazy. Jesus answered them, has it not been written in your heart? I said you are gods. If he called them gods to whom the word of God came and the scripture cannot be broken, do you say of him whom the Father sanctified and sent into the world, you are blaspheming because I said I am the Son of God. If I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me. But if I do them, though you do not believe me, believe the works so that you may know and continue knowing that the Father is in me and I are in the Father.
Now,
So again, he
Chris, real
doubled
quick,
down on,
because when we go up, when he says I and the Father are one, but then there's no mention of being the Son of God.
mm-mm.
But then when he's
Was it?
schooling
Yeah.
them, he mentions that they're mad, that he says he's, so what we can gather from this is, in Jewish thought at the time, the Messiah was to be the Son of God, because he kind of just throws that in there. It wasn't brought up, but he says, and now you're mad at
Right.
me because I say I'm the Son of God, which means that these
Right.
were kind of interchangeable things. And again, back to like Islam, where they're like, well, yeah, you could be in a sense, or in the time period, you could be considered the son of God, or like it's called the son of God, but Allah abrogated that because the language was being misused, or this or that. But what we see here is Jesus equating being the son of God with what he said before, which did not mention being the son of God. So
Well,
these were terms in use. They knew that the Messiah was going to be a divine figure, or they expected the
yeah.
Messiah to be a divine figure, not just a man that was elected to an office because of his righteousness, which I think is kind of what there's some weird heresies that go and do that, that Jesus was just a really good man, and because of that, he was able to become the Messiah. And I mean,
Yeah.
even I think like in a lot of rabbinical Judaism today, they say that every generation the Messiah is born, but if he doesn't live up to it, we were just waiting on the next guy to do it. But
Right.
here we
That
have
wouldn't be
him,
Talmudic. That would be later common
yeah,
use.
just
But yeah.
like probably Hasidism and things like that. But
Yeah.
so with him specifically mentioning here, Son of God, which kind of comes out of the blue in this context.
Right. Well,
he's appealing to the idea.
Father, but
okay.
And
Good point.
So he's like automatically calling himself the Son, because if he's Father, then the Son. So, but Mark 14:61 shows that that's actually the context that they're working from. But he kept silent and did not answer. Again, the high priest was questioning him and said, "Are you the Christ, the Son of the Blessed One?" So that's just straight up what you were saying earlier, but in one sentence. Are you Jesus, are you the Messiah, the Son of God?
Right, there we have it. So, because a lot of Jewish apologists will say, well, no, the Messiah was never supposed to be a divine figure. It was just like a hero. David's a Messiah. Even Cyrus is called Messiah. And so they say it's a regular man. Well, no, I mean, okay, yes, but in this specific context, this is what was understood, and that shows that.
This is also an interesting context, because I am the Son of God this is one of the very, very few times that Jesus actually calls himself the Son of God. The vast majority of the time he calls himself the Son of Man, because that's actually a higher deity claim, ironically, because there's Adam's called the Son of God. Like there's other people who are called the Son of God in the scriptures, even though it does indicate something special and unique about him. But Son of Man is like the highest deity claim Jesus makes of himself because of Daniel 7. He claims to be the eternal righteous ruler who can sit on a throne next to the Ancient of Days.
Right.
Yeah. Which is again like Mark 14:62 and 63 are the highest Christological claims of the entire Bible, which I just pointed out. But I am, so Yahweh, you shall see the Son of Man, God, sitting at the right hand of power, God, and coming with the clouds of heaven. Two different God claims. So he's making at least 4, if not 5, deity claims in a single sentence. And then the high priest said, "What further evidence do we have?" After tearing his tunic.
Yeah.
So he tears his tunic because of the blasphemy, which I just so happen to have a section.
I was going to say, I'm going to go. I'll be right back, Chris, but you continue on. This is fun.
Yeah, so this is the Mishnah. Mishnah Sanhedrin 7. The transgressions for those who are stoned to death, for one who blasphemes and one who engages in idol worship. So if you engage in that, you are to be There it is. Okay. So this is what happens if someone blasphemes the name of God. One who blasphemes, who curses God, is not liable unless he utters the name of God and curses it. Rabbi Yehoshua ben Korah said, on every day of a blasphemer's trial, when the judges judge the witness. So again, the trial that Jesus went through was an illegal trial according to rabbinic law. In rabbinic law, you have to have multiple days of a trial, and it's public, and it's during the day. They did his trial at night, illegally, in a single day. So they broke their own law to crucify Christ. So you interrogate the witness. They ask the witness to use an appellation for the name of God, like Hashem or Kyrios, so that they do not utter a curse on God's name, Yahweh. Specifically, the witness would say, let Yossi smite Yossi, as the name Yossi has 4 letters in Hebrew, as does the Tetragrammaton. So they replace Yahweh with Yossi. When the judgment is over and the court votes to deem the defendant guilty, they do not sentence him to death based on the testimony of the witnesses in which they used an appellation for the name of God without having heard the exact wording of the curse. So the witness has to repeat the curse directly to the court. Rather, they remove all the people who are not required to be there from the court, so that the court is not heard, the curse is not heard publicly, and the judges interrogate the eldest of the witnesses and say to him, so it's only one of the witnesses that has to repeat it. So they're trying to minimize the amount of people that have to curse God's name. Say exactly what you heard explicitly, and he says exactly what he heard, and the judges stand on their feet and make a tear in their garments as an act of mourning over the desecration of the honor of God, and they do not ever fully stitch it back together again. And the second witness says, I too heard as he did, but does not repeat the curse explicitly. And the third witness in the event if there was one, also says, I too heard as he did. So these tears are supposed to happen if blasphemy occurs and you're not allowed to stitch them up. Interestingly, the high priest cannot have any tears in his garment. That's in Torah. So according to the Torah, you are not allowed to have a tear in your garment. According to rabbinic practice, you're supposed to tear your garment under blasphemy. So whenever the high priest tears his garment here, that is breaking Torah. Broke the Torah. He kept the rabbinic law, he broke the Torah. So, but this also shows that this is what's happening. This is the proof that they think he's claiming to be God. Because you would do this by blaspheming Yahweh. Well, he doesn't say Yahweh at all here. So according to the halakha, you have to say, oh, well, you had to like curse the name of God. He doesn't use the name of God here, unless he literally just said Yahweh for the I am, which would also be pretty based. If he just said Yahweh and you shall see the Son of Man sitting at the right hand of power, or even just like Eya. He uses ego eimi, which is the Greek equivalent to Eya. So he basically uses like, the name of God of himself. And then you have all of those, and then they tear it to show that he is claiming to be God, even though this breaks Torah. It's so amazing. Oh, I have too many tabs. Ignore the sheer number of tabs. I also wanted to point out this, which I'm assuming Steven can still hear me. If you're not, then I will show him a bit at a later date offline. But this is one of the most interesting passages in Bereshit Rabbah. So, actually, let's just finish reading John 10, because I think it is relevant to this passage, and we'll read that section of Bereshit Rabbah. So if I do not do the works of my Father, do not believe me, but if I do them, though you do not believe me, believe the works, so that you may know and continue knowing that the Father is in me and I in the Father. So he's saying that the witness of the testimony. So we saw this earlier in chapter 9. So you have the son, the blind man, using his miracles as testimony to who he is as Christ, and possibly who he is as God. He understands that his miracles is a testimony in and of itself. And Jesus is now explicitly saying, hey, even if you don't believe that I am God, know that I am based on the miracles that I am doing. He's using his own miracles as proof of his prophethood, of his messiahship, and of his deity. Almost as if Muhammad would have done that if he could, but he couldn't because he's a false prophet. Anyway, then therefore they were seeking again to seize him. So they understood this again. This is a deity claim by Christ. And they were trying to kill him again for it because he's doing another deity claim. And he eluded their grasp and went away again beyond the Jordan to the place where John was first baptizing. And he was staying there, and many came to him and were saying, while John did no sign, yet everything John said about this man was true. And many believed in him there. So John didn't do a sign. He didn't do any miracles. Yet John testified about Jesus. And they're saying that John's testimony is true. And this is amazing. So, as we pointed out several times in this series so far, there's a lot of instances where John and the other gospel authors are using John the Baptist as evidence for Jesus. This only makes sense if the gospels were written more contemporary to the time of John the Baptist, where all the people alive and know John the Baptist and saw him and witnessed him, they would be more convinced of the gospels and the truthfulness of Christ because they know John, they know he's a prophet, they know that he was special, and they know that he testified about Jesus, and now they're getting the witness testimony that what John said is true. So they're using John the Baptist as evidence and proof of Jesus's divinity and messiahship because this was written in the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, not 70s, 40, 50, 60s. I believe all the Gospels are written before 70 AD. I might eventually do a video on the dating of the Gospels. But it's amazing. And then many believed in him there. You could say maybe this is as God, maybe it's just as Messiah, but they were believing in him there, and it is so amazing. Now let's bring up the last little section of the Jewish sources tonight. So, this is Bereshit Rabbah 23, paragraph 3 on Sephara. So,
Just in time.
Just in time. I might have actually missed it. Hold on. What? All right, so this is in actually paragraph 5, not paragraph 3. Whenever I made the text bigger, it went back up because Sephara is weird sometimes. Anyway, Adam was further intimate with his wife, and she gave birth to a son, and she called his name Seth, as God has provided me with another offspring in place of Abel, as Cain killed him. So we, if you remember back in our Genesis stream,
those were the
we
good old
talked
days.
about how the good old days. Those were great shows. We talked about how Eve understood Cain as the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Right? She understood her boy, her man, as the fulfillment of the covenant of Genesis 3, the prophecy of the seed that will crush the serpent's head. She thought Cain was deliberately that person. He turned out to be like an antichristian figure. So now we have Adam was further intimate with his wife. Extra desire was added for him to his desire. In the past, when he did not see her, he would not desire her. Now, when he saw her or did not see her, he desired her. So he just constantly, man was on staff constantly.
Consumed with lust.
Yeah. This is an illusion for seafarers that they will eventually remember their homes and come immediately. She called his name Seth, as God has provided me with another offspring. Rabbi Tehuma said in the name of Rabbi Shmuel, she was looking ahead at that offspring who would come from a different place. Who is that? It is the Messianic king. So the Messianic king is through the offspring of Adam. And I love that she's already thinking about the Messiah. So even the Jewish commentary is talking about how like, oh, she was in expectation of it being fulfilled immediately. And she thought now that Seth is going to fulfill it where Cain failed due to him killing his brother. So I just love that the idea of the Messianic king is coming from a different place. The idea that you wouldn't know where the Messiah is coming from can loosely be traced back to this idea. She was looking ahead that the offspring who would come would be from a different place. Why? Because so in the Torah, for example, in the Torah, you don't actually get the context for why Jews all over the place are saying we're not going to know where the Messiah is from. That's not explicitly taught in prophecy. We don't get that it's going to be a thing where you're not going to know where the Messiah is from, because it explicitly says, hey, he's going to be born in Bethlehem. And he's going to come, it's pretty clear when, where, and why the Messiah is coming in the prophets. So the idea of this like unknowable origin for the Messiah,
or what's even kind of going around in the Dawa circles right now of they're latching on to the verse where they say, can anything good, can a prophet come from Galilee? And they're trying to make something of that, and it's just very. But you know what? We are within the body of Christ. We're critical, as we should be, but at the same time, these are reacting like all the people that we're reading the Gospels right now, and we're seeing that everything Jesus says, nobody is getting. I mean, even the disciples, they come to him and say, Lord, and he goes, no, I teach in parables for this reason and that. But I mean, it's all the more reason for us in the body of Christ to do what we're doing, which is to go out and tell people, because they need to hear. Faith comes from hearing. And it's very important to get the message out there. It's not after that you get the message out, you've done your job. It's not your job to convince anybody. This is something that I think anybody who's a Christian has gone through, where they think, well, I've been preaching the gospel for 20, 30, 40 years and nothing happens. it's not our job to convince anybody. It's our job to tell the truth. And when you tell the truth, when you preach the gospel, you're doing your job. And so the results are, yes, that is an excellent book. I'm only a third of the way through it, and that book teaches you how to have conversations with people, because what we all should know as humans is conversation is very difficult. Meaningful conversation. Yeah, that one particular, because it has extra stuff. You got to get the updated version.
That bookmark has
But that is an excellent resource for teaching you how to have conversations with people. And you know, and that one too. I have not gotten to get into that one yet. I have it, I own it. But it's w- the, we're at a very special time right now, everybody, where I mean, like, we can go on the internet and talk about this stuff, and people across the world can have this information available to them. Whereas before this, you were subject to whatever was the information in the area you're in at the time. The world has become informationally unified, and I mean, this is a level of biblical proportions. The amount of knowledge that is
Yeah.
available to everybody. So be bold, preach the gospel, and don't be dismayed or discouraged if you don't see results that you would like to see, because your job is not to get results, your job is to just preach. So wherever you are, whoever you're speaking with, it never hurts. Bring it up, and you don't have to be an expert. And so I'm getting all riled up, Chris. These two chapters of John is just they're so great.
they really are. Yeah. Yes. So there's a couple comments I want to talk about, but
Mm.
man, Gorilla Hiller's really getting me. To finish my earlier thought as well, the reason why the people would say, "Oh, well, we're not supposed to know where the Messiah is coming from," is because of the oral tradition. We have that within the Jewish sources as well. So that's not even a requirement. But like, oh, well, he's from Galilee, therefore he can't be the Messiah. That's not actually biblical.
Right.
Anyway, it's an interesting study that was done to determine the wording and language within the text indicates it was before the destruction of the temple. Yes. Testify has a great series on that already, but highly recommend going through that yourself. I'll eventually make a video on it. I don't know when. I got to finish the book. I mean, I have a backlog of like 180 videos I want to make.
Yeah. By the way, if you join
That's not even an
Chris's
exaggeration.
channel, and you're welcome to his Discord, he does have a page in there of upcoming video ideas, which every day there's like 3 or 4 added into it.
That's actually a different Discord than what's publicly available.
Oh, is it?
You're not
Oops.
actually in. You're not actually in the publicly available one because you're not a member. You're in the private one.
Oops.
Yeah. The other one's fun too. You should join this sometime. You and Christian Gadfly are not in that server, which I think is hilarious to me. Anyway, yeah. Everyone, all of the people who are, they just don't understand the scriptures, man. It's crazy. What is my difference between thieves and robbers in John 10, 7, and 8? Thieves are people who break in without hurting someone, and robbers are people that coerce. Is typically the understanding. So robbers would be someone that does it in like daylight, and thieves are people who do it at night.
Or could it be
robbers are to be put to death, thieves are not.
It's used in parallel, right? Thieves and robbers.
Yeah.
Could it be could it be a Hebraicism, like, you know, the Hebraic parallel, where they'll say something and then they say it again in different wording?
definitely could be. But there is a technical there's a technical
distinction?
difference between those two
Okay.
things. Yeah. So a thief is someone who's explicit, like a cat burglar. They try to steal the object without anyone finding out or catching them. A robber will go out and put a gun to your head and say, "Give me your stuff."
Oh, okay.
That's like the difference between armed robbery is different than cat burglary. Those are legal things that have different sentences.
Kind of like murder and homicide.
Yeah, and the Old Testament actually has that distinction. In
Yeah.
Exodus 23, it
Is
has
someone coming
if
in
you
if you don't
at
know what
night,
they're
then
right.
they have to give back the amount plus multiple of the value of it. If they do it during the daylight and you see it happening, that person's to be put to death. So
Mhm.
robbery is a punishable by death offense. Thievery is a punishable by a multiple of the cost of the item. So if you're trying to thieve something very expensive, you have to pay something very expensive. If you're trying to do thievery of bread, you don't have to pay nearly as much. So it's also a sense of justice and a sense of if you are thievering because you are poor, your punishment is lesser than if you're thievering in order to steal from the rich or make yourself rich. So
Yeah, kind of like
it's interesting.
the common misunderstanding of what eye for an eye and tooth for a tooth means. It's not a brute system of, well, you did this, so I'm going to do this. It's making sure that the punishment or the restitution is equated with the crime. It's you can't kill somebody because they put too much salt on your food. That would not be congruent.
Yeah. I start the entire stream over because I missed everything.
Well,
that
the
happened
good thing
before I
about
got here.
YouTube is you can
Yeah, you can
watch
go
it
back
from the
and
beginning.
watch it.
And although
This was
with
a good
this stream,
I like
I
it.
think you start from the beginning, you'll be like, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Legitimately trying to get the hair out. It's like
Chris has a gorilla
on
hair
the back of my
allergy, it
tongue.
turns out.
Yeah, it's literally on the back of my tongue. It just keeps tickling my ovum. And it just
Which is funny because he has a long-haired dog, but it turns out synthetic gorilla hair is much more.
It's so coarse. It's like sandpapering. I think it's actually wrapped around back there. And every time I move and talk, it like tickles it. It's not fun. I'm gonna go gargle and maybe throw up after the stream. Anyway.
Hey, you're speaking Hebrew now.
Yeah. See if I can loosen it up some. Anyway. Hey, you should do that for.
Oh.
You should do that. You should do that for this channel too. I don't know if it's gonna be paid or free, but you know. Yeah, I was in fact licking a monkey. Actually, I did make out with the monkey mask at one point, so that is actually accurate.
Now, to be fair,
it wasn't just for the show.
I
literally I tongued it a little bit, so yeah, that might have been whenever it got snuck in. Just waiting. Anyway, okay, I legitimately need to end the stream because this is just gonna bother me until I go gargle some salt water.
Yeah, you know what my grandma taught me when I was a kid. I had a hair in my throat and it just would not swallow. And she goes, now she had some old world ways that a lot of times were probably not a good idea. But she goes, if you're ever like choking on a hair, take a piece of bread and eat the piece of bread because it'll drag it down because bread is kind of becomes like putty-ish kind of
big and wine sponge. Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe Chris, go, just take a piece of bread and get it all soggy and chew in your mouth and give it a good swallow. And thank you, Grandma Julie, my Grandma Julie, who's no longer with us, but that was one of her words of wisdom.
Okay, I am going to go ahead and call it. Thank you all for coming out. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. If you want to support my work, get a membership, you can join the Discord. We have fun over there. Also, I have a recipe listing on it now too, so you can get my recipes. Talk about food as well, and then get insights, and you have much more access to talking to me specifically, like Jack just did in the Discord. And yeah, may the grace of the Lord Jesus Christ, the love of God, and the fellowship of the Holy Spirit be with you always. Maybe I might be able to see a little bit. No, you can kind of see it. So you can see like the white
you can
dots up
see it.
here a little bit better. But yeah, that's a bit of a better angle.
Oh, there we go.
Yep. All, but yeah. So I am a Dalmatian, and it'll become more obvious whenever you see me in person. Anyway. Good night.
God bless everybody. Good night.